live. Tell your friends you're listening to the Verhoeven Effect podcast. I'm Conlon,
And I'm Nathan.
and we have another very special episode. We have the 1996 movie The Long Kiss Goodnight. Nathan, do you have a history with The Long Kiss Goodnight?
This was a rental watch for me.
Okay.
This was back in the glorious days. I think this was probably a VCR rental watch, maybe a
Oh, yeah,
DVD. But yeah, I remember I picked this up and just watched it one night with friends. Working the night shift. Let's get some movies.
yeah.
Go home and watch them afterwards, and eat a large pizza and wonder why we're getting fatter. This was one of those movies.
I just remember being this, um, recognizing it as being a bad movie, but fun.
Yeah,
And kind of like one of the first movies to do that, because I remember this was like critically hated. At least I remember it being that way. I don't know exactly how it winds up nowadays. This did get an Arrow video release, so
yeah,
and has like a ton of like online critic, like, what do you call that, like, not documentaries but like video essays on this movie.
okay.
So so it might have had some resurgence, but I mean, but yeah, like, and also I didn't expect, because we'll probably get into it, is I didn't realize this was after Cutthroat Island. So-
Yes. Jeannie Harlan, Gina Davis as a couple, like, we're coming back.
Because I thought it was the other way around. I thought this was a modest success, and then Cutthroat Island ruined their careers. But I guess, like, no, they got another chance, and this was not. And this, I don't think it was a modest success, but because it also seemed to be a very expensive movie. So, um,
Yeah, this is one of those movies that, like, it defies your expectations in two ways. Because you look through the cast and as you're renting it in the video store, and you're like, oh, cool, Samuel Jackson, Gina Davis. This should be good. I
yeah,
have a
like
bunch
every
of guys from the 90s are in this that you recognize.
yeah. Well, like, it's a good cast. It has fun dialogue, but it's just got that Rennie Harlan stupid all over it.
Oh, yeah, it's the dumbest story you've ever read. Okay, come on.
And it's written by Shane Black, who does good stuff. So I don't know if I should like blame the stupidity on Shane Black or Rennie Harlan, but like Rennie Harlan has like kind of a theme to his movies of making stupid, fun action movies. That's kind of his thing. So
Yeah,
because like I used to really hate Die Hard 2 because like compared to 1 and 3, it's obviously the worst Die Hard movie. But now that there's like two more after that, it's like, well, actually, Die Hard 2 has like a really good premise and a great cast. It's still dumb as hell, but it's still, a good thriller. So,
yeah, it fits well into that niche. Yeah,
yeah. Um, and Rennie Harlan, he made his bones on making stupid yeah, Ford Fairlane. Was it Ford Fairlane, or was it what was that other, oh, was it like, crap, the one about the guy who like basically just punched people's face in, and it was like the same actor. uh yeah, the comedian, yeah, Andrew Dice Clay. I'm not sure if you
okay,
know,
yeah,
because
yeah. He was Adventures of Ford Fairlane. Yeah, that was his acting debut.
oh, it was okay, because he did another like movie where he could like punch people's faces in, and I can't remember if Rennie Harlan directed that one as well, but maybe not.
No, that's worth looking up.
Look.
I haven't looked at. Here's Andrew Dice Clay. Oh God, he's 67 now. That makes me feel old.
um,
Dice Clay performances.
or maybe it wasn't him. Brain Smasher, a Love Story. That's it.
Yeah, that came right after Ford Fairlane.
Okay. Oh, that's an Albert Pune movie. Huh. Okay.
Direct video. Yeah.
It's kind of it's a B movie. It's a fun, stupid B movie.
Yeah.
He punches people in the face, and they comically basically have clay faces that like fold in on themselves and stuff like
Oh,
that.
okay.
So, I thought because it's a cheap movie, it was before. I thought that was like the start of his career, not the middle of it. So, um, But yeah, Rennie Harlan, an action movie director. Um, yeah, did he go? Yeah, did he do Die Hard 2 right after Ford Fairlane?
I
Probably
believe so.
right.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I should know. Well, yeah, Cliffhanger was a huge movie.
Yeah, Cliffhanger made a lot of money. It was better than anyone thought it would be.
I never. Yeah, we'll probably do that next week because I've never actually sat down and watched that movie, and I remember that's like I know more of like the Ace Ventura 2 making fun of that movie than actually watching that movie. So,
Oh yeah, it's like the best, one of the best John Lithgow bad guy performances.
yeah.
It's a good movie. Yeah,
Um,
I think it made like an outsized amount of money for its budget.
oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
no,
$300 million.
yeah. It was like I think it might have been the number one movie of that year or something like that. Oh, he did. Okay, he did Dire 2, and then he did Adventures of Ford Fairlane, and then Cliffhanger, and then Cutthroat Island. Basically, the end of his career. Then Long Kiss Goodnight. Deep Blue Sea. I remember that being that was either that's infamous or it made money. I can't remember. So
I think people just like the Samuel L. Jackson scene. That's what
yeah,
they remember the
yeah.
most because Samuel L. Jackson crazy speeches are the best, and it was a perfect like way to end the scene.
Yeah.
I think that's what
Yeah, yeah, it's
people.
audacious too. So,
Yeah,
Driven, terrible movie. Mindhunter's a worse movie, although weird. It's got a 6.3 rating on Internet Movie Database. He did one of the Exorcist's reboot movies, and then for just kind of pretty much downhill from there. Did some TV. He's still making movies somehow. Because I saw a trailer for the Bricklayer movie, which it kind of looked like the oh, what's the Beekeeper movie in a way, where it's
yeah.
just like just a working man, but really he's an ex CIA guy, which is still basically this movie as well. So
Yeah, the only people that got that formula right, where you actually believed or cared about the people, was nobody.
yeah,
Because that was like, oh, what if an everyman was also like a secret assassin? Nobody was funny enough to where you like actually cared about the characters.
yeah.
The
And,
beekeeper was just like, what's a cool way to kill all the crypto guys we hate? And it's like, oh, well, weld them into a truck, or
yeah.
drive them off a bridge. And
Well, it's
all kinds.
also way funnier and more interesting to get a comedian and a producer to and a writer to like do like get crazy in shape and then be in an action movie rather than Jason Statham who's like built for action movies and then like doing his thing. So,
Let's see, what's the best thing he he did? A terrible movie about Dyatlov Pass that I hated.
oh, okay,
Devil's Pass.
yeah,
It actually had, it looked like a YouTube like what do they call that, like horror story thing.
yeah, okay.
It didn't have the kind of
What was that?
uh
Creepy pasta or what? No, no, that's something else. Never mind.
yeah, that's like, it's like when they tell like, it's just like writing prompt stories
Yeah,
on YouTube. It used to be they had like hand drawn animate. Now they do all that weird AI crap.
yeah.
It actually looked like a high school kid had wrote a script based around what happened at the Dyatlov Pass, which is one of my favorite like weird story things. And it's like, oh, cool, a Dyatlov Pass movie. Oh, this is for people with 70 IQs. Okay, I hate this. I don't want to see
I
this.
don't think I know the story. Do you want to explain the story, Nathan?
Oh, the Dyatlov Pass was what it happened in the 50s in Russia, and it was a group of hikers were going into, it was somewhere. Hold on, I'll just look it up real quick because I want to get the story right. It happened in the Ural Mountains
Okay,
in Siberia, but it was like a college hiking club in the Soviet Union,
okay.
and which is like,
Sounds like an anime.
yeah, it was a group of hikers went up this mountain, and they were trying for the highest gradation you could earn in the system of being like a mountaineer type,
Okay.
someone who could like go to where it's very cold. And it
They
was
want to
like
earn their double black diamond or whatever.
yeah, it's something like that. And it was the people died. I forget. They ranged in age from like 21 to 38, but they were all like associated with a college.
Yeah.
And the leader of the expedition was Igor Dyatlov. That's why it's called Dyatlov Pass. But there was like, I forget how many. There was like 3 women, or maybe 4 women, 5 men, and then there was a guy named Yuri Yudin who got like some kind of hypoxia halfway up and had to go back. So he was the only survivor of this. But this is the one where they found their tents after they were declared missing, and the people had cut themselves from the inside of the tent. Like they could tell the tent was cut from the inside out, and they took off running without clothes. Like they were running from the tent, and nobody knows why. And they died from like, most of them died from hypothermia, as you would expect. But one of them, I think one of the women, had such a chest injury, it looks like she was in a car accident. And one of the guys, like his skull was crushed.
Huh.
And it was, or no, there was 2 traumas and a skull crush. The rest of them were hypothermia. And then all kinds of weird stories circulated about, they had higher amounts of radiation on them, but then that was turned out not to be true.
Okay.
So nobody knows what happened.
So insert your own story.
Yeah, it's like, why did these people who are intelligent college students decide to like run from this tent?
Yeah.
And they keep coming up with wilder and wilder, like, but not like, of course, there's always the UFO, Bigfoot nonsense.
Yeah.
But there's people that like, it's infrasound or other kinds of high science. Like, they were caught in the middle of a Karman vortex street because it was hitting the mountain and it was creating subliminal infrasound, which, like, they've looked at infrasound's weapons, because things that are below your range of hearing, but if the oscillation, the pitch is steep enough, will drive you insane. It's like, what who's there, what's going on?
You'll sense something, but they can't like prove it's happening or whatever.
Yeah, because none of your senses go to that pitch, but it does feel like a force. So that was one thing. And then they said slant avalanches, which a lot of people believe that makes sense, because it's like they must have heard an avalanche or whatever, and they knew what it sounded like, even though they camped on the side of the mountain where they weren't, because that's part of being a good hiker, is knowing where the avalanches are and avoiding them. But there could be what they called like a slant avalanche, where it's just the top layer falls off, but it doesn't get all the snow underneath to start rolling down.
Okay.
So they might have cut their way out of the tent because they heard that, and then the rest of them just got buried and froze to death. But like the one girl and a couple of the guys, like if you're just in an avalanche and you get slammed into a tree, that's the equivalent of a car wreck. That's what those injuries would look like. So, but yeah, there's all kinds of things, because there's like the native peoples of that tribe, and but then there's a translation of what the native people of that Siberians, they called Mount Ortorton or whatever, and for years it was like, that means Mount Death, and it's like, no, the guy was an expert in the language. It means it's a dead mountain, like there is no prey here to hunt. It doesn't mean it is a mountain of death. Deer here to hunt. Don't waste your time on this mountain. But everyone's like, it was called Death Mountain. It's like, not really. You're translating it from whatever the Siberians people speak into Russian, and then into English, and then of course it's like, that's like a game of telephone, where you just clip the wire halfway through the conversation. But yeah, that's a very short and incomplete story of the Dyatlov Pass. It's one of my favorite like sci-fi weird stories that probably has a completely mundane answer, but it's still exciting.
There's a rational explanation, but we know no it, so you might as well substitute whatever audacious
Some
thing you want.
was the language in the original Russian documents, which you could get online and just translate yourself if you had the equipment, because the way they wrote the documents, because they had to send the Russian military out there to search for these people after they were declared missing, because there was so much snowfall. Like the tent was buried in the ground, like they had to dig it out. So there was so much snowfall and stuff. It was like they had to have a big team out there, and things like this usually didn't happen in Russia. Usually there's like a reason people died. They really had no idea what happened to these people. So it was like written up as coroner's conclusion. or no, it was investigators' conclusion: an unknown compelling event caused the hikers to flee in the middle of the night.
That's a great sentence.
That's where it all starts, man. That's the spark that lights it. An unknown compelling event caused, but then you read the rest of the sentence and it doesn't seem so elaborate. Caused hikers to leave the tent in a Celsius reading equivalent minus 37 degrees with little clothes on, and and flee into the night. And it's like, oh, what a compelling event. Well, that requires a compelling story. But it's only compelling in the context where he's saying, because that's how the Russian language kind of works. It's like we would say like something compelled them to leave the tent, which that sounds a lot more bland in English.
Yeah.
But how they kind of structure Russian, the event that was compelling caused them to leave, and you read into that immediately like, what does that mean? It's just how language works. It's kind of funny. But when that stuff gets just given to the public, it's like, here's a rough draft English translation of the coroner's report. Something compelling happened, and I am a scientist and an investigator. It's like he's saying aliens are real. This is how this,
Yeah.
this is how this goes, you know.
So yeah, Rennie Harlan made a bunch of money on Cliffhanger, and then so he basically had open check to make Cutthroat Island with his then wife Gina Davis, and it was like one of the biggest productions at the time. Which it seems anytime you do stuff with boats, it just gets crazy expensive. So I didn't look into the history of it. I've never even seen the movie. I don't. Well, no, I've seen it because it's like there's a map on like a skinned guy's head, right? And it's like her father or something like that.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, it's every trope of piracy. You've like, what if we tattooed a treasure map on somebody? You know, all kinds of stuff like this.
Yeah. So because that like didn't that like kill Kuroko or something like that? It killed like an entire studio.
I think so. Yeah, I think everyone. It was like the ship took a lot of people down with it. Kind of like in real life, it's like get away from the ship before it goes underwater because it'll suck you under.
But then like a year later, or maybe before maybe before the fallout of it, they got to make another movie. So, which was this movie, Long Kiss Goodnight. Which again directed by Rennie Harlan, written by Shane Black, who is like probably most famous for writing Lethal Weapon. Yeah, he's a famous script writer, but you look at his scripts and there's not like a whole lot. Like he did like I think he made a bunch of money on The Last Boy Scout because that's like his first two scripts on his Internet Movie Database. But like in between, like he was an actor in Predator because John McTiernan wanted a writer on set, so he hired him as an actor. And so he's like the nerdy science guy with the MP5 and Predator.
Okay, all right, interesting.
So he's basically there to rewrite the script on the fly and also to give everyone one-liners. Because he is good at that. He is good at snarky dialogue.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like I haven't seen this movie in a while, but there was a lot of dialogue in this movie that made me laugh, mostly because it's audacious and stupid. It's like no one would talk like that unless they knew they were in a movie, but it's fun nonetheless. So.
Talk like that in real life, and no one else is on that wavelength. Which looks like you're crazy.
Yeah. He directed like underrated movie, like it's kind of like a cult classic now with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He also loves to make movies take place on Christmas. It's like it's here, it's in Lethal Weapon. It's incidentally in Die Hard. He didn't write Die Hard, but he just like action movies around that time. That's what's going on. He directed Iron Man 3, which is also on Christmas. He directed The Nice Guys, which I think might be on Christmas. I'm not sure. And then his most recent directorial effort was the Predator movie, which which is a horrible mistake of a movie. I don't know what happened there, but it's like all this talent can combine to make the stupidest Predator movie. So.
Yeah, this seems like this is going to be great, and it's like no. It's like how did they miss this?
But it wasn't too many years later where they kind of the Prey came out and they kind of like re-energized the franchise. So there's supposed to be another Prey movie coming out, and then there was recently like a kind of an animated What If Predator series on Hulu, which I hear is good, but I haven't watched it yet.
The Hunter of Hunters.
Yes,
Yeah, I've heard about it.
I've seen clips of it. It looks pretty awesome, but that's also one of those things like all those what if stuff. Like they always look cool when you take them out of context, and they're kind of a bit cloying when you actually go through and watch all of them. So, because I know there's two what if ones for the MCU, and then I think there's two Star Wars kind of like, hey, what if it's Star Wars but it's samurai, but it's just actual
Okay.
samurai and stuff like that. You know, like the Animatrix, they've done stuff like this before, where it's like, you know, giving different creative artists kind of like let them interpret this world that everybody knows in a slightly different way. So, yeah, I also didn't realize like going through this that Gina Davis was like married 4 different times.
Yeah.
I knew the thing where she was an archer and like she's really good. Like I thought she like won like an Olympic medal, but I guess she just competed to try out in like 1999 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And she came in like 24th out of like 200, so she didn't make the team. But hey, but she'd only been training for 2 years, so that's not bad. So,
Yeah. So in 1999, she would have been what? It's like
like 38 or something like that.
70 now. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, it also seemed like this movie kind of ended her career in some ways. Yeah,
it
or at least
seemed
like,
like it,
well, yeah, she wasn't really a starring like actress anymore after this, but she, you know, she had a good start to her career. You had like The Fly. She's in a bunch of weird movies too, like Transylvania 65000 and Earth Girls Are Easy.
yeah. See, now I always think of Gina Davis as like in The Fly. Like that's the Gina Davis I go to.
Yeah,
It's kind of like the sweet, sort of naive woman who like finds like strength as time goes. Like she was also in Beetlejuice. She was the
yeah,
husband wife at Beetlejuice, but she always plays this character where she's kind of this you know, it's like kind of this almost naive woman who like becomes becomes like the strong person by the
yeah,
end,
yeah.
which makes sense because she's also a woman who's like over 6 feet tall.
Yeah, so yeah,
That
yeah,
stand out a lot.
yeah. Her and Sigourney Weaver have never been in something together, have they?
No, I don't think so because they're both like over. I think they're taller than me. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
I feel like they probably got looked at for the same roles, and so they never were in the same movie together. So it's like,
and then she was in a movie what I call a sad watch that I watched once and I really loved it, but I'm never watching it again because it is so damn depressing. Called The Accidental Tourist.
oh, okay,
She plays William Hurt's wife, and like he's a like a travel writer,
okay.
and he's married to her, and their son dies like suddenly. I think it was suicide. I'm not sure. It's not really clear, and I haven't seen it in a while. But like him and Gina Davis have this great, or not Gina Davis. He's married to Kathleen Turner, um, and Gina Davis is like the eccentric woman. Yeah, I'm kind of mixing it up. It helps him learn how to. You think it's going to go one way. It's like, oh, she's going to help him learn to be happy again or whatever, but it doesn't really work out. It's just a super set because you can see, you can imagine people. It's one of those things where it's too close to reality,
Okay.
where it's like, yeah, you can see people's like lives disintegrating around something like that very easily, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, I think she got like an Oscar nomination for that. So
Yeah, because I know she's like the, I was, it was yeah, it was some reason I mixed her and Kathleen Turner up, but no, she's like the dog sitter.
okay.
Um, and it's like she does make him happy, and he does, you know, kind of re-engage with his life a little bit, but he's such a curmudgeon. It's like it leaves you with this angle of like nothing's ever going to be the same. You know, once it's broken, it can never be repaired. It can only be patched, and the pain is always there. And it's kind of like, I don't want it. That's not real. I don't want to know about that. I want to be entertained. It's great acting all around. So if you
Okay.
want to be depressed, watch The Accidental Tourist.
And of course, she was
Almost
great.
tailored as a quirky, fun movie.
Of course, she was great in Thelma and Louise, the most
Same
happiest
kind
ending.
of character. It's like becomes strong as
Yeah.
it goes.
Man, maybe we gotta watch that. It's just a weird pedigree of like like a movie that ends like with basically characters committing suicide and it's celebrated. It's
Yeah.
directed by
Ridley
Ridley Scott.
So
It's
weird.
like an early Brad Pitt performance. It's like um and then of course she was in the League of Her Own, a League of Their Own, yeah, League of Their Own. She
Yeah.
was great in that. And then
And then Stephen Frears' Hero.
I never seen that.
She,
Is that about the plane crash and the drunk who's like saving people from the plane crash? Okay, all right.
yeah, it's like Dustin Hoffman is a just a
Right,
degenerate
right.
human, and so they kind of make up a fake story about the other guy. It's like, no, this is the real hero, and it's like, no, it was just a terrible guy, really bad criminal too. So not like a killer criminal, but
Yeah. It's kind of like a shameless like character.
sort of, but with less endearing.
Real okay.
Yeah, not as like fun. Like it's just like, damn it.
um,
very
but,
underrated, very underrated performance by Dustin Hoffman.
but after this movie, she kind of like not really disappeared, but definitely less parts, less starring roles. I know she
We
was
did
in
a
that.
lot of Stuart Little.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like the middle of her career.
That's one for the money there, baby, because I think each of those movies made close to $500 million.
Yeah.
So.
I know she was in a show called like Commander in Chief, where she's the president, which I remember like thinking that had positive reviews, but I think it only had one season, so it must have not like hit. And then I saw her recently. She was in the last season of A Glow, which she's really great in that, where she plays like this. She's like a former burlesque dancer who like her husband owned like the like I think he died and he left her the casino that the girls wrestled at, and so she always has like this nice sage advice, and she's always dressed in outrageous like burlesque dancing clothing and stuff like that. So
That would actually be a good role for her. I could see that.
yeah, that's great. So that's the last thing I saw her in. So and apparently diagnosed with ADHD at 40. So but I never heard her talk about that at all. That's just in the wiki. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's we.
I mean,
Yeah.
she definitely seems like a person who just like, I mean, she picked up archery in 2 years and went to the Olympic tryouts with it. She probably has a lot of just like wild, like, oh, I'm going this way, I'm going this way, I'm going this way.
I mean, she definitely seems like someone who locks in. That's for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, she's married to Rennie Harlan when they were making these movies. I'm not sure when they divorced. I'm not sure if it was after this movie or when. But I forgot the other thing. Like her assistant got pregnant with Rennie Harlan's kid, and so that's why they divorced. So.
Oh yeah, that's a good reason to. He's like, what is he? A Finn? He's from Finland,
yeah,
right?
I
Maybe
think
it's
so.
different there.
Yeah. Yeah, Finns don't have a whole lot of emotion, at least not Finnish drivers, so I don't know.
It's like she was our assistant, and he was like, "Don't you know what that word means?" It's like, you didn't understand.
She assisted me.
Yeah.
Let's see. Cinematographer is Guillermo Navarro, who's done a lot of action movies. He's worked with Guillermo del Toro, so basically did all his movies. He has a crazy history.
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez, Guillermo del Toro, which must be confusing on set.
Yeah.
Guillermo, and like four guys turn around.
And maybe everyone's just calling everyone with a last name. Like Navarro, del Toro.
Yeah, so we did Robert Rodriguez.
He worked with Sean Levy on the Night of the Museum series. We did that was the Real Steel, which he did a couple movies ago. So he worked with that guy.
Twilight. Pacific Rim. Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
That's Del Toro. So
yeah.
He worked with who the we were talking about. He was in Swingers, and he's a big movie director. I keep forgetting his name.
Oh yeah.
I must know. Jon Favreau. He worked with him.
Oh yeah.
On Zathura, which was like a sequel to Jumanji, and that was Favreau's like first like directorial. It might not be his first, might be his biggest movie, and he was doing a kids movie to kind of be like, "Hey, I can do this." So, um, oh yeah, I did Jackie Brown. That might be the last. Oh wait, no, we saw something else. I think one of his other movies we did recently. Maybe not. Oh, he also did the Doolittle movie.
Oh yeah.
Gina Davis was in. So, yeah, Jackie Brown might be the last movie that we saw of his that he shot. He's probably got an Oscar
Sure.
because he did Pan. Well, I don't remember Pan's Labyrinth won a bunch of awards. So,
Oh yeah. It's a cool looking movie.
but also Pacific Rim is just that is a tour de force in cinematography. So, just for scale alone. And the cast is Gina Davis, Samuel L. Jackson, and Yvonne Zima, who's the kid. So that's a weird third credit, but whatever. So, but she's like still acting. So,
Yeah, he said, let's see, Brian Cox was in this. I totally forgot about that.
one of my favorite '90s shitheads, Craig Bierko.
Yeah, I remember this guy.
He kind of just does that. I think he's like a theater actor, and then he kind of just played the same character in every movie.
Yeah, he seemed to be that guy.
And I think people confuse him with like Timothy Zahn, and then like, or is it Timothy Zahn? No, who was the crap?
Oh, it's the other guy, the guy who was in Titanic.
Yes.
What is that guy? Ah, damn it! What's that guy's name? One of those cool-looking guys.
But some with a Z, right?
Yeah. Let me look that movie up real quick.
Billy Zane. Yeah.
Billy Zane, yes. Yeah. Yes, this would be Billy Zane with hair. I like how Samuel Jackson's character's name is Mitch Hennessy. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I forget there was some movie that the Action Boys were watching where like all the black characters are named after alcohol.
Yeah.
What was it recently? Okay, I doubt it has any correlation, but I just have to check up. Oh, it was Eye of the Tiger.
Okay.
Which I don't know if you know that movie because I didn't know it existed. But it's like crap. It's like a guy gets out of jail thriller and his wife gets killed by a motorcycle gang, and then somehow the people that own the song Eye of the Tiger like granted the movie, like did this movie and then just shoehorned in the song, and this is after it was used in the Rocky movie.
Huh.
And yeah, it has Yaphet Kotto in it and stuff like that, and like basically all the black characters in it are named after alcohol. So
It's hilarious.
Um,
Oh, Yvonne Zima was the girl that was taken hostage in Heat
okay.
by Tom Sizemore's character.
Okay.
So she's been a hostage in a
Yeah.
couple of movies.
Yeah, I think she does TV.
Yeah.
The most recent thing she does TV. But
Then, of course, David Morse is in this. Brian Cox, who's looked the same age for 50 years.
yeah.
David Morse is in this. He was a big 90s character guy. And then G.D. Spradlin played the president. And you know this guy because he's been in everything as a character actor.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he's been dead now for, 14 years. But yeah, this was like his next to last movie. But yeah, he was, it's like there's so many recognizable people in this.
Yeah, it feels weird, like Brian Cox showing up here because like he's kind of slumming it here, but he actually his whole career he kind of slums it. And it wasn't probably till like later in his career where he actually got like decent roles. Like he's good in everything he does, but what's offered to him it was not very good.
Yeah, I mean, like his most memorable thing in the 80s was Manhunter, and nobody liked that movie. Like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah. And this is
which is
10 years after that, so.
yeah, this is 10 years after that, and it's like, but he's looked this age forever.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm trying to think, what is the big breakout movie with him? Was it The Bourne Identity, where
Might have been.
he became like, yeah, that
He
guy.
kind of had a cluster of movies because he was like in Super Troopers, like in like a supporting role, but like he
Yeah,
had like a bunch of movies around that time where it's like, hey, who's this guy? And he just kept showing up in like every movie, and then he just started, and then he gets to be the voice of McDonald's, and then ride out his career. So
he was in Rushmore.
okay,
That's where he played Henry Kissinger, I think, too. Or no, he's the narrator.
oh, I never saw Secession. That was a big TV show.
Yeah, that was his big, like, everyone knows this guy.
Yeah.
But he did other stuff, too.
Oh yeah, and like he played Stryker in X-Men 2.
Yes.
That was pretty big.
He's one of those, like, British, Scottish actor that, like, oh. He's, like, shows up in all kinds of, like, BBC stuff.
Yeah, he's a working actor. He just he just put it in front of him and he'll do it. So, yeah.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force is the voice of Anubis.
Oh yeah, he was in the Manhunt video game, where he's like he's like the voice that talks to you, and like is telling you to kill people and stuff like that. Yeah.
Interesting.
Is there a bunch of like crap? Now I'm forgetting the writer. He wrote Heist. Is that Red Eye that he did? Is that?
Don't know.
Why can't I remember the writer? Oh no, it's not Heist. Wait, is that a different Heist? No, I'm thinking of the Heist with. No, it's called. Yeah, there it is. 2001 Heist. Apparently, there's another movie. David Mamet.
Oh, okay.
So I'm trying to think of David Mamet movies that Brian Cox had been in. He had to have been in at least one of them.
Yeah, you got to have him deliver that dialogue at least.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of what's our favorite Val Kilmer kind of CIA movie where he's got like the auto knife.
Spartan.
Yeah, Spartan. That's another Mamet movie.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
And I think he did. Let me see if I'm correct. Sorry for all the pauses. I have to know.
No, that's fine.
And Brian Cox has a huge
Yeah,
career.
Cox, he's still doing stage acting too. So.
Oh, he was in the Red movies that were Retired and Extremely Dangerous, which those
Okay.
were fun and stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, he did 2 movies called Red. Weird. Oh, it's not Brian Mamet. He's in a movie called Red, but it's not David Mamet. So.
Oh, okay.
But let's see what Google says when I write in David Mamet and Brian Cox. It wanted me to put Brian Keith. No, I'm not seeing any connection. Maybe it never worked on. Oh, does not matter.
You should have.
Oh yeah, that's like a great excuse. It's like, oh, I'm wrong about something. Well, it should have been right.
Yeah.
I remember there was a great moment on Giant Bomb where one guy they were having an argument about something, and they ran a poll to see who the audience agreed with, and I think he lost by like 95%, but like 6 people voted for him. He's like, see, people agree with me. It's 6 people, but see, people agree with me.
Than one person.
It's like, oh, that's great propaganda. Uh, um, so I guess we gotta get into the movie. Although, yeah, this is a. I love the title of this movie. It seems
Oh
like
yeah,
very like. Oh, what's like? Yeah, it seems like very like 1950s like noir,
yeah.
like
That's
thriller kind of.
definitely that kind of language.
uh, what was it? Yeah, what was it? Was it the Long Good Friday or what's that one with the British guy Bob
Yeah, it's the
Hoskins?
was it the long Good Friday? Yeah,
Yeah.
we watched that for this.
um, yeah, Long Good Friday. But yeah, this came out October 11th, 1996. I doubt I saw it in theaters. I'm pretty sure like you said, this is like a rental or showed up on like a streaming. Well, I guess it wouldn't be a streaming service then, HBO or something like that.
Yeah,
Because we only ever had periodically HBO. We never had Showtime. So it's like you get one, not two.
yeah,
And mostly we never had HBO either. We had it was the wonderful free weekends
yeah.
of HBO.
Those were full weekends. Get some pizza.
Yeah, you talk about it with people at school. It's like, oh shit, HBO's free this week.
Yeah, we're not doing no riding bikes this weekend. Seeing some boobs.
Which, yeah, it was weird because it's like if everybody's excited for free HBO weekend, that means like nobody had HBO. um. So we have Act One. We open up on we have like cursive writing. We see the name Charlie being written over and over again. We get a knife slices at the screen. We get some like negative photography going on here. You know, just some. We get family photos. We get spooky intrigue music.
It's very 90s intro.
Yeah.
Lots of cuts and handwriting and stuff going
yeah,
on.
yeah. I mean, this is like I don't. Is this just an action movie? Is this a thriller, or what? What would you define this as?
I would define this as an action movie.
Okay.
Yeah, because as far as the thriller element, that requires like a little more depth of story. So yes, this is definitely an action movie.
Okay, but they're trying to give off a thriller like vibe. So.
Well, someone saw the intro to Seven and they liked it.
Yeah. Is this post Seven?
I actually don't know. I was just shooting my mouth off. Let me find out. Yes, this Seven is a 95 film.
Okay, all right.
This is a 96 film, so it probably means they were in production, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
One starting, one in.
Yeah, but like, I don't know.
There was a lot of movies from the 90s that copied that.
Yeah,
Seven.
yeah, but like, really is Fincher? Well, maybe Fincher was. Somebody else probably did the intro to Seven, and it doesn't take a lot of people to mimic that or time to do that. It just I'll just throw all this stuff together, and then it's intrigue. So
yeah, actually, just filming a bunch of pieces of paper. You know, it's like we don't have a bunch of actors on a set.
Yeah, this one let's not strike a positive. We'll just put the negative in, and it'll be mysterious. So it's like there's not really a lot of art going on here.
Scratching pencils across paper, and there we go. No, the Foley guys.
We get the name Charlie Baltimore, which it's weird because I think it's spelled with an Lie, and then later on it's with Ly, and then her name's like Charlene, actually. So it's all weird. Then we get out of the credit sequence. We open up on it's Christmas in Honesdale. Is this a real place? Where are they supposed to be at? Okay.
Pennsylvania.
Okay. There's a Christmas parade going on. We get Samantha Kane, played by Gina Davis, is playing Mrs. Claus in the parade.
Yep.
We get a voiceover of Samantha talking about being born 8 years ago, like on a beach in New Jersey, because she lost her memory and she just woke up and I don't know who I am. And we have a scene where she stands in the mirror and looks at scars. She doesn't know how they got there. She's also somehow a teacher. If she doesn't know who she is, but I guess we'll find later on this was a whole like kind of like a cover, so so there was stuff into place to play out this character or whatever. So
like credentials and stuff, I guess.
Yeah, she has a key that's filed down. Not like the keys aren't filed down. There's like a number that's supposed to be there, and that's been filed off. Because I think she calls it a filed down key, and it just looks like it has these two square notches on it. So it's like, oh, is this key useless? Was it put to something? So, but it just means that. But then later on, she says just the numbers were filed off, so nobody would know where they went. And then she's like, I filed them off, so I know. She has a kid, Caitlin, who she like woke up pregnant with on the beach, so she doesn't know who the father is. Um, did you ever see that TV show Blind Spot?
No,
Do you know what that is? Where it's like the
no.
some like CIA assassin chick who wakes up and doesn't know who she is, but she has like tattoos all over her body that like give
Oh,
it.
I've heard of it, but I've never watched an episode.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like she's a map to the solution, but she has no idea what's going on.
Yeah. Which I don't know. Yeah, I don't know when that first happened. I remember that was a big thing in the first season of Prison Break,
Yeah.
where the guy like he had tattoos all over his body, but it was really just a blueprint to escape the prison.
Huh.
I hear that show, at least the first season, is like pretty amazing, and I just never watched it. So I didn't know if you watched it at all, but I'm guessing not. So.
No. There's a lot of things I've missed to
Well, it was a Fox show, and most Fox shows are stupid as hell. So this was like the smart, stupid Fox show. So, um,
yeah, because I'll like just go all in on something like the OA,
yeah,
and there's like 20 things that are like better and not as not nearly as pretentious, but it's like, oh, I'm all in. This is great, and then it just
Well,
it's like,
I think Prison Break came out around the same time like Lost did,
mhm.
and so it has that kind of like mysterious nature, but it's far more grounded. So I think it was a bit more approachable Lost at the time, so it did find that
Yeah,
audience. But I hear they kept jumping the shark, where they basically they've like killed like, oh, that character is clearly dead. They have like a knife inserted 8 inches into their throat. They're not going to come back, and then the next season they just kind of have a cough. It's like, no, that character's dead. So.
yeah. Human body is nightmarishly. These people like heal like Wolverine. I don't think so.
It's probably like in the wake of also 24 as well, which is another Fox
Yes.
show, which was its premise like helps cover up the stupidity. So, but it was a compelling show, so it had its time. So, um, didn't they didn't they have like two reboots of 24 and none of them worked?
I think they might have. I
'Cause I think,
remember watching 24 on like I remember somebody
oh wait,
sent me.
they did like a 12 episode like reunion season or whatever, and because they like brought everybody back after the reboot failed, because I think they tried to make oh man, Freddie Prinze Jr. like the new the new Jack, and it didn't really take off. So, anyways, uh, so yeah, she's dating this guy Hal. Who I don't know what he does. He's just like a fellow teacher. Um, they're at a Christmas party, which I think is just a party for all the teachers. And Hal gives a toast, and Samantha like hugs him, so it shows their affection. He has a pretty good joke about like here's to like not swearing or drinking or smoking, and he goes, oh shit, like I drink and smoke. So, which that's a very like seems like a very probably a Shane Black line that he stole from some alcoholic he was hanging out with. So, yeah, I don't know how much do you think of this, like all his one-liners and jokes in the movie are like wholly created by him, or just like he hung out with people who said outrageous things and he just like put them in his movies.
It's probably a combination of both.
Okay.
It's like people who make like weird stories are like strange tales into one-liners.
Yeah.
But there's not a much of a reference there. It's like, well, you know what they say, you can't fuck a dead elephant. It's like, what is that? They just build a story around
Yeah.
that. Like no real conclusion or any rational set. so at the same time it seems deep. It's like, what does this really mean?
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's just a gross, weird thing to say.
I don't know. Do you have any opinions about Shane Black as a writer and or a director for the few things he's directed?
I mean, I sort of there is an endearing quality to what he does.
Yeah.
Some, as far as like a dialogue guy, I mean, Samuel L. Jackson can make anything sing.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's what Snakes on the on a Plane proved. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, just put me in here so I can say that, and it's um but he's done enough like script, he's enough of a script mechanic. Like he knows how to tell a story.
Yeah.
He knows how to throw funny lines in there.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, and one line can make a whole movie.
yeah.
Not this movie, but some movies would work. Even though there is some great dialogue I highlighted in this movie. So.
Yeah, like the Iron Man he did. Is that the one? I'm trying to think what happened in Iron Man 3.
That's where
Is
like
that
everyone's like has like the superpowers where like they're melting and stuff like that, or they get really hot.
Yeah. And I know
It's,
that's where Jarvis.
and he hangs out with a kid and he like
Right.
has horrible things he says to this child.
That's what reminds me of Shane Black, because I remember Tony Stark is because the kid was talking about, yeah, my dad left, and of course you know what happened to Tony Stark's dad, and he's like, yeah, dads leave, kid. That's what happened. And it's just like totally. It's like when I think it's like because I remember that from that movie. It's like some of the worst advice ever given by someone who you think would totally empathize with this situation, but he's like kind of annoyed. He's like, "Dad's leave. Got to get on with things. Yeah, you can't let it, which is kind of good advice, but also totally insensitive at the same time." So yeah,
yeah, that was the one with James Badge Dale as the bad guy.
Right. Okay. So see, that stands out to me.
So we still got a
Nice Guys were funny because it was.
Yeah, that was a great movie. So
it was like Russell Crowe playing what's the guy's name? It was like Russell Crowe playing this is the guy who played Roseanne's husband.
Oh, John Goodman.
Yeah, Russell Crowe is John Goodman and Ryan.
We still have a voiceover. She talks about hiring private detectives to investigate herself until she basically ran out of money and had like cheaper ones to hire. So that's basically how we kind of lead into Samuel Jackson's character. But so far, nobody's found anything. Then we cut to we have Mitch Hennessy, played by Samuel L. Jackson. He busts into a room.
This is one of my favorite scenes in a movie. WTF moments. So go ahead, go through the scene.
He busts into a room with a guy having sex, like he's with a sex worker, and so he's acting like he's like Vice. And there's like these other guys in the corner that seem like sickly. He's like, "Hey, read him his rights," and they can't like. They're like, what are you talking about?" So and then then he talks about like how he's gonna get fucked in prison. It's like basically like, hey, unless you do something like this way. And then we just cut away from the scene and we find out this is all a sting. We're like, the sex worker's in on it, and she's basically like, she got paid for sex, and then like he got paid for extortion. Yeah. But
what I love about that scene is because there's a few things going on. Because he's like, okay, read him his rights. And so and like I said, those guys look pasty.
Yeah.
What's wrong with these cops?
Yeah.
And then the one guy just like projectile vomits on the floor and sits down like afterwards. And then, but it's like Samuel L. Jackson like doesn't miss a beat, and he tells the guy, "I can see from your choice you don't have a lot of money." So it's like insulting the sex worker.
Yeah.
And we can work this out. So it's basically a shakedown operation. But if you don't know what's going on, and you just see like, why did one of the cops just explosively vomit on the floor? What does that have to do with what's going on here? But it's like, oh, okay. That's the one thing in this movie that one of the couple things that stands out to me is like, that is hilarious because it's so weird.
Yeah.
It's like, this has become a David Lynch movie. What's going on here?
But yeah, you find out there's just Mitch and some lackeys, which these are like to say they're just homeless people he hired off the homeless drug addicts off the street to pose in trench coats to be cops.
Yeah, literally like 50s, like I'm a detective. See, it's just so ridiculous. Like anyone who wasn't scared shitless would be like, "Wait a minute, what do you guys? What's going on here?"
Then we have Mitch and Trin, which is secretary, which she was like posing as a sex worker, which I imagine she got paid up front, and then they stole more money off of him to extort him as the vice cops. So it's like,
Yeah,
it's like that's a racket.
yeah. Well,
But
she's
the
got to do the grossest part of the job too.
yeah, yeah. Well, he's there for protection, I guess, and then but he's also a private eye, so like this, is just like this is how they make it work. So, but he's supposed to be a seedy private eye, so it sets you up immediately that this is how this works. Trin's played by Melina Kanakaridis. I'm not sure you're supposed to say that.
Lena, Greek name.
You probably know her. She does a lot of TV. She's in a soap opera. She was in a show called Providence, which ran for almost 100 episodes. And then I think she was like the second lead in the CSI New York and did the whole series of that.
Okay.
So like her. So um but then like Trinda gets a call from somebody and they basically happen on a clue about Samantha where it's like she had a place, like Samantha had a place somewhere else and like the lady like preserved it or whatever. So and then somebody like found a credit card and used it, and it was in her name, and so that's why they know it exists at all. And so like they get some info from this lady, that apartment or house she was like paying rent to or something like that.
Which that's one thing element in this movie that makes a lot of sense, because the main way private detectives catch people who are skipping out on bail and child support or whatever is through the credit card companies.
Okay.
A lot of access to like bank information and stuff, because the only way you can really disappear is to like throw $1 million in a trunk and just leave.
Yeah.
And then getting fake ID, but you can never use credit or anything that's tied to you because they will always catch you.
Yeah. Is that how they sell your credit card information to private eyes? Okay. Because Samantha's driving a guy home. It's like, who is this guy? Is he like a fellow teacher or something?
I'm not. I think so.
Okay.
He was someone who was at the party who had like a highball glass filled with whiskey and ice.
Yeah.
So he was just probably completely shellacked.
Which he gets incensed when she calls him drunk, and then he kind of like has fun and then feels her up a bit because it's the 90s, and I guess you do that. But this acts as a distraction so she can hit a deer, and apparently she doesn't have a seatbelt on. And then when they veers off into a tree, she just is ejected from the car through the windshield. And
the deer is attacking them. It's a weird scene.
Yeah.
Deer's like kicking at them both.
Also seems weirdly like just a violent version of like, Christmas Vacation or Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Like it's kind of the same kind of
like cut scenes, like deer, and then they go. The camera focuses on their face, her foot slamming onto the brake, and then the deer just flying through the windshield, and obviously not hitting safety glass, just blowing right through big chunks of glass. Which that's an older Volvo. It's not that old, where it doesn't have safety glass in it. But.
I can't. Did we have another weird like deer hit in a movie recently? I feel like we did, but I can't remember it.
I think we did, and I can't recall what it is. It's almost like the deer had an expression on its face.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the hell was that? I can't remember.
Oh well. So yeah, she flies out of the window into the snow. She starts having flashbacks of herself, which she's like in blonde hair, and it's like kind of a slick back and shorter. And then the car catches fire. She walks over the deer, and like walks through a creek in the in winter, and then snaps its neck, and then she lays down exhausted. And then the guy in the car the door opens up, so it seems like the guy's gonna run out of the car, but presumably he just burns to death in the car, and nobody ever talks about it.
Yeah, it's never talked about. Somebody burning alive in your car while you were like laying next to a dead deer 50 feet away. You think that might come up?
And I don't know why they include like the extra bit of like the door opening up, or maybe it's to give you hope that this guy won't die, but then he just burns to
Yeah,
death. Or
I actually
he could have been dead already. So I
I rewound it a few times. Like, were they going to talk about this guy that got cooked to death? And they
don't know.
all out on the ground, but he was made as like a kind of an unlikable because he was
Yeah,
making vulgar hand gestures, like, "How much do you guys do this?" And
yeah.
she's like, "Put my fingers between my thumb and forefinger." I don't know, not very much.
I know she
Yeah.
says all the time.
Oh,
So.
all the time. Yeah, that's it.
um, then we cut to a Jersey correctional facility, and we see a guy in jail recognizes Samantha because they filmed the Christmas parade, and he gets angry, so we don't know why. We cut to Samantha's in a hospital bed. Hal visits her. She has a vision of her other self. She makes herself smoke, and she says her name is Charlie. Um, But yeah, there's interesting eventually it goes away, but there's like an interesting kind of um, like horror. What do you call that? Psychological element of like things that are happening aren't actually happening, but that just kind of the further you get in the movie, that just disappears. But it is interesting up front here. So,
Yeah.
um, except to Mitch gives a gift to his kid, but then his kid says he can't take the toy because his mom will get mad, which that's really sad. Because his mom's just gonna think he stole it, which we don't necessarily know like why she would think that. We don't get that like till like way later on of like that's what's
Yeah, you
going on.
get the idea that this guy's a dirty character, but
Yeah,
it's also he's like trying to have a relationship with his son.
yeah,
He's such a ne'er do well, like because she didn't he give him a bike
yeah,
and the lady called all the stores to see if they'd been robbed recently.
yeah. um, Mitch gets a page, so there's all stuff in this movie. You get pagers, you get cell phones, you get all things. So you get
Or the early cell phones, those what are those called?
something star, a gold star
Yeah,
phone,
tech
tech
stars.
star. Okay.
Yeah.
And you got CB radios, which they're the coolest looking thing in this movie. So it's got the little green light up screen and like those like 16 buttons on there or whatever. So,
Yeah, CB radios got cool. They still are cool. You can still buy those for like hiking,
yeah.
where they have the display screen and they have the some of them have like if you can put an app on your phone with them, they can like find the signal, like they
Yeah.
can direct you towards the person. It's like that's actually kind of cool.
So yeah, right now like there's these Chinese made CB. They're about the most thing because it's like the Chinese kept up with CB radios, or not CB. These are what are these?
Shortwave, the Bofang shortwave.
Yeah,
radios.
Bayfang. But what ham radios?
Yeah, ham radios.
Yeah, so like this is a Baofeng body, but this is a company called B Tech. They're out of like South Dakota, and so
Okay.
they put special innards that are better than the Chinese ones in here, but it's about the same. It's about $20 more than a Baofeng,
Yeah.
which a Baofeng's like $25. So it's like why not? So get one. You can use them in emergencies. You do not need a license if there's an emergency in your area. You do not need a license to broadcast on ham radio. So.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, 'cause after the derecho here, I got one just for that. Well, I also had the idea of like I'll go get a ham radio license for fun.
Yeah.
I should probably still do, but I was thinking about like broadcasting the podcast on ham radio just for fun, just to be weird. But then like there's rules like you can't have like, because technically we're like a commercial kind of thing, like we're like we seek funding, I guess, or whatever you call that. Like, it's
It's a profit taking enterprise.
yeah, we're a commercial thing, and you can't do that. Like, it's also we swear, which that's against FCC rules to swear on ham radio,
Yeah, I did know that. Yeah.
and various things like that. It's like, yeah, but you can't just like use it for communication purposes. Weirdly, you can like, have like you can broadcast like religious like
Yes.
sermons and stuff like that, because like I know Christians are big into ham radios to try to get the word out all over the world. So bounce it off a rock in space and get some God to someone in Sri Lanka. So,
Talk to Australians.
yeah.
Hello, mate. Mate.
And then I found out you can do like basically you can turn ham radio signals into digital signals and basically do line of sight internet with ham radio, which that sounds
Yes.
like oh cool. That sounds cool. I've never done that. I want to figure that one out.
They were do actually they've been doing that quite a long time with internet.
Oh
Goes back to the 90s. Yeah.
yeah. Say you just get enough line of sight repeaters and you got your own internet.
Yeah. It takes a tremendous amount of energy compared to doing the regular
Yeah,
internet.
yeah.
But it does work.
When everything breaks down, he still still got it. So, it's a backup internet over. And then once you figure out some microwave stuff, then that's it's all you can be as fast as you want to be over the air. So, oh yeah, so yeah, Mitch gets a page. He talks to Tran. He gets a bunch more information on Samantha. Then we cut to Samantha's cutting carrots, but she's like doing it like comically bad here. And then she's basically like overcome with knife skills, and she starts getting really happy and just like slicing up things vigorously. And she's like, "I must be a chef." Like I'm a chef, and they keep handing her things to cut up, and like they throw a tomato to her, and she like cuts it in half and then starts slicing, and then she picks up a different tomato, like tosses it in the air, and then throws a knife at it and like impales the tomato into a wall with the knife, and then she just kind of looks at them and like they kind of like the fun gets taken out of the air of the room with like a hint of violence here, and she's like, "What? Chefs do that?" Which is a line that will be used, I think, once more. I don't think they'll do it a third time. Like she doesn't stab a guy later on and say that or anything.
Yeah, I think there's
Well,
yeah,
no. She does stab a guy and say that, and that's the
yeah, it's used one more time. Yeah.
Then we cut to we have Timothy played by Craig Burico. He's like interrogating a guy. He's got him tied up, and he's just got a knife with a finger hole in it. Just to look extra creep. It's that it's got a creepy curve to it. So like that looks like that hurts. Then he gets a call about Charlie Baltimore being alive, and about how like One-Eyed Jack has escaped, which we don't know. We don't know what any of this means. We don't know what's going on here. It's just to set up that. But and then Timothy just kills this guy, who he was interrogating, and then doesn't ask him any questions. So he's like, "Well, I guess there's better things to do." So he just kills this guy, and moves on to this thing. Then we cut to Samantha's taking her kid out to skate, and then she just uncharacteristically like is without compassion as she like forces Caitlin to like learn how to skate. It's like stop being a baby and like well, was she say something like life is pain, get used to it. Then we cut to it's bedtime for Caitlin. Hal tucks her in. We see that her arm is in a cast, so she really did get hurt out there. Then Hal goes to the treehouse, which was introduced earlier on, where Samantha's just kind of like hiding away because she's kind of like scared and ashamed of herself. But she also says she doesn't remember what she said to her, so I don't know if she knows what to be ashamed of. So. But we just kind of have like, okay, this character that's buried underneath is coming forward, so that's all we know about. Then there's some carolers outside, and then quickly we see that they're being like held at gunpoint in front of Samantha.
It's kind of funny because it's just people singing, and then you see like the barrel of a shotgun. It's kind of a cool scene setup.
Yeah. And then she goes out with like candy to give to the carolers. Is that like a thing you do? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think so. I do believe so.
Okay. I thought people I've done caroling like once or twice, and I can't remember the purpose of it other than to bring Christmas cheer to people or whatever. So
I think that it's like you could hand out like candy canes or something.
okay, I just didn't remember that part of it. It seemed like I didn't know if this was like some local tradition or somebody was confusing Christmas and Halloween.
It seemed a little Halloweeny now that you mention it.
I mean, it's Christmas time. You just have bowls of candy around, so it's not unusual. So, One-Eyed Jack busts in. All the carolers disappear and disperse, so they're gone forever from the movie. He's got a shotgun with a fucking grenade launcher on it.
Yeah, it's a weird weapon.
I guess when you want to do, no medium range, up close or far range. That's how this thing works.
Yeah.
And like so, yeah, he's like shooting at her with a shotgun, and then he like blows a hole in the wall with a grenade launcher. Um, which yeah, nothing except for like maybe the last scene. No explosive in this movie like displaces shrapnel. It just moves things
Yeah.
and creates fire.
Explosions is just a kinetic way to move things around. That's what grenades. Well, no, they don't use grenade launchers. Yeah, they just move things around.
Yeah. Well, and
I'm
even that
trying to
grenade.
find that gun.
Oh, is it not just some Remington 870 again with a grenade launcher on it? It's got M204 grenade launcher on it.
It's actually closer to what they had in Terminator 2.
Oh, okay.
It's
Oh, does it?
that Winchester style ratchet
Oh,
with a
okay.
grenade launcher grafted onto it.
Okay.
So it's basically a prop gun.
So it's a lever action shotgun?
Yes, it's a lever action
Okay.
shotgun
Right.
with a
Okay.
grenade launcher grafted onto it, but it's all painted black.
I don't know. This movie has a lot of weird guns, so
Yeah, it does.
we'll get to one that I have questions about later on. So, there's like a sniper rifle with a bunch of holes in it, and I don't know if that's like a heat shield or just something stupid. So, I'm not sure if you did research on that one, but so he blows a hole in the wall. Samantha picks up Caitlin and just throws her through the hole in the wall to the treehouse across the way. Like no arc to it whatsoever, just a straight shot.
Yeah.
Show off her her mother superpowers, and her secret CIA powers. Then Samantha fights One-Eyed Jack, and then she ends up getting like he just punches her a bunch in the face and all that stuff, and then she gets the upper hand by hitting him with a pie. Like it really just knocks
pie in a glass, a dish.
Yeah, it's like a
Really
Pyrex dish or whatever.
Dishes, yeah, that are designed to take heat. So
I don't know if it's a hot pie, if that's helped with the with the incapacitation, but whatever. And then she.
I have that pie dish. If you broke
really?
that over someone's head, you would give them a concussion.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a two-hander for sure. The fiction here is that Gina Davis picked that actual thing up with one hand because that thing's heavy as hell.
So she knocks him out and then snaps his neck, and then she looks up at Hal and says, "Chefs do that." Yeah, because Hal just basically got shoved aside here by One-Eyed Jack pretty easily and was dispersed for the moment. So
yeah.
So that being into Act 1, we got Act 2. Samantha is leaving with Mitch to follow the lead on herself. So, it's kind of fun to go investigate yourself. So she says goodbye to Caitlin and leaves the key with her. Then we cut to there's a debriefing at the White House with the president about Charlie Baltimore. And this is where we get the mention of Chapter, which is the secret organization that's not accountable to the government or whatever. So it doesn't make any sense, but whatever. It does. It's a secret CIA organization. That's all you need to know. So if you just trust if you just trust the government, which is everybody, then this all makes sense. So, and did you want to mention the guy who plays the president here?
Oh yeah, this is the G.D. Spradlin.
Okay.
You've seen it if you've watched any movies from the 70s, 80s, even the 60s probably, because he's worked with like Marlon Brando, Al Pacino. He did stuff with James Garner as the the card playing, the gambler. He's been with a lot of people. He's always like a character actor.
Yeah.
He has a very unique look and a way of delivering dialogue.
Well, it says he was the general on Apocalypse Now, so is he in the opening of Apocalypse?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's the general, and Harrison Ford is his debriefer.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember. That's a weird scene. He tells Martin Sheen's character, it's like, I don't know what this is, but if you can eat it, you don't have to, you passed any test of courage I need, or something like that. Yeah, he's from Oklahoma.
Okay.
He has a way of delivering dialogue it's just that crackerjack delivery.
Yeah.
I know you're a man if you can eat this. That kind of talks that way, but it's cool to think that people talk that way.
Yeah, folksy, kind of entertaining the way he talks. It's like,
yeah, but then he's talking about like murder.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you enjoy that. By the way, you're gonna go kill a special colonel. How you feel about that?
It's like if Anton Chigurh had like a hint of like fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of that dialogue about.
Well, hey there,
Listen-
friendo.
Yeah, it's the Stradlin anti-sugar. Oh, come on over here. No, I'm gonna shoot you. We talk first. Come on. Don't die a coward's death now. Get over here.
Come on, call it. Don't put that in your pocket. It'll just be a coin then.
It's your lucky coin. It saved your life. Actually, one of the lines that Javier Bardem has in that scene that I always love that gets bypassed when the guy's like gets nervous about him being there staring at him, just eating whatever he's eating, like cashews. It's like, yeah, I got to see about closing. And he's like, I can come back later if you want me to. And, that it's like, that's just, but that got bypassed. It's like, I can come back and kill everyone. I carried into it, right?
Yeah, he's like, he like almost chokes on the cashew when he finds out the guy didn't, create the business himself and stuff like that. It's like,
yeah.
So yeah, we cut away from the debriefing, but this just hints at like, oh, this goes all the way to the president. So this is not just a mistaken identity thing. This is something far more serious than that. So.
It goes right to the top. This is Treadstone or whatever. Something. I know that's from Bourne Identity.
Yeah. I mean, Brian Cox is in that too.
Yes,
so.
Brian Cox is in that. It all comes. See how it all all comes together.
So yeah, Samantha and Mitch are on a road trip, and for some reason, I guess there's a song. It's like the song is like I ain't talking about moving in, and he mishears it as I ain't talking about the linen, which is how I always remembered that song. Is the incorrect thing of it? It must be from this movie, is how I remember it. I don't think.
Yeah,
actually...
it's hilarious. Really into it. I ain't talking about the linen.
Yeah, it made sense to me. It's like, yeah, this is the song is telling you it's about sex, but it's telling you it ain't talking about it. Actually, I don't
cares
know.
about linen because the warm winds are blowing the stars.
I don't think I've ever sat down and listened to that song. So
it's a fun song. I have it on.
Do you know who sings it?
One of those '70s bands.
Okay, all right.
It's that golden hour of sex. It's like, hey, let's listen to some music and get laid. No one gets AIDS yet. Coke. And if we get the clap, we just get a shot. And that goes, ooh, I ain't talking about the linen.
I don't know, I guess we should mention like
pregnant, I can just move to the next town over and establish a new identity.
Yeah, because probably I think Samuel L. Jackson's older than Gina Davis.
Yeah,
but way different career trajectories.
Oh yeah,
this is kind of the end of her career, and this is the start of his.
Yeah,
and he continues to go on to basically have a pretty successful career for even till now. Although he's doing way less stuff now, but
it's like he's almost 80 now.
Yeah, no, he's the same age as Dad. So.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, what was Dad doing in 1996?
Engineering some huge project.
So yeah, they find the name of a doctor while on the road in one of this book because she keeps fuddling with her suitcase, which will be important very soon. Then we cut to Dr. Waldman, played by Brian Cox, is having dinner and is angry with a dog licking itself, which is very just
That's like his mom. It's like him and his mom are having Christmas dinner, and he's doing that classic Brian Cox delivery, which I can't do the accent, but he's like, that dog has been licking its asshole for the last 3 years. There's nothing going on there that justifies more than an hour of this.
Yeah, it's perfect delivery of Shane Black dialogue to make it even all
Shakespearean almost.
Yeah, I don't know, his character lives long in my memory from this movie, but he's only in this movie for 15 minutes or even less than that.
I think he plays a corpse longer than he plays interesting person, but yeah, it stands out. It's a good actor.
Yeah. He goes and takes a call from Samantha. Wallman recognizes her voice and calls her Charlie, and he mentions of something called chapters. So that would, which again, just some secret organization. What's your guess? What chapter is? It's just some CIA offshoot that works internally in the
Yeah,
United States.
it's like the wet work crew.
Okay.
It's like killing people is such an abstract concept. We need a special division, and it's like no, they can find anyone to go kill
Yeah.
people. In movies, it sounds exciting.
But they seem to. Well, I mean, that's always like the thing that like Tom Clancy brings up, and like people don't believe because also like it's common sense to not believe that the CIA doesn't operate within the United States because that's
Yeah.
so this might be the go through is like, oh, we just set up a separate thing that it operates with the United States, but it uses all the CIA assets at its disposal. So
Yeah.
So he sets up to meet.
It's not like if the CIA wanted to operate in the United States, they would be coy about it. They would just do it because whatever they were doing would probably be highly illegal.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're not going to get clearance for this no matter what. So let's just do it.
Yeah, it's
And
not. Well, it's not.
It's
not like it's not the purpose of the CIA to gather evidence and bring somebody to court. It's to kill somebody.
Not like, oh, we're gonna stop the. I mean, there's two ways you can. The FBI is like, we're gonna stop the cartels importing drugs into America. We're going to arrest people, interrogate people, get international warrants, do that. And the CIA is like, how are we going to stop people getting drugs into the United States? Well, let's get some sniper rifles and some versus guys and a few attack helicopters. And it's like, oh, we can't put them in prison. It's like, no, we're going to solve the problem. That we're not going to pay to keep them alive. Other psychopaths will rise to replace them either way. It's just we're not picking up a hotel tab for the CIA way of doing it. So
we're gonna kill these people, and then like someone will take their place, but they still got to rebuild that horse.
And then always know that like their head could randomly explode or sail in. It's like there's two different ways to do it. There's a way where you put names on a sheet and like, look what we did, and we paid this much, and we prosecuted this guy. And then there's like, well, they're dead. Both of them solve a problem. Just one.
Or it's like, this guy's really awful, but he's really powerful. It's like, can we bribe him? It's like, cool.
Yeah. What if he worked for us? But he's bringing drugs into the U.S. Yes, but what if we split the profits? Like stopped communism with our half of the profit. Allow drugs to flow into the inner cities because we really want those people to die. So it's like it's a win-win. And then like that's not true, and then you find out, oh no, it's very true. Now that is not a wild conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Because it connects too many dots and solves too many problems.
Yeah.
It's like if only the poor would kill themselves, and they're like, aha!
And we can blame them for it too.
Yeah, because poor people could formulate elaborate drug concoctions, right? They have those crazy skills. Like they can make crack cocaine and methamphetamine, right? Because poor people are born to know how to run laboratories. There's nothing about the origin of this that's questionable. What? They can make it with off-the-shelf cold medicine? This is like those weird sabotage books where you can like how to make a candle and do an assassination device, but it's involving chemistry. But don't spread weird stories around that. You're being a conspiracy theorist.
We gotta pay for those college loans, Nathan. So.
Yeah, gotta pay for those.
It's the origin of every. It's everyone's. What do you call that? Crap. Inciting incident.
Yeah, it's like I'm only gonna do bad for a little bit because much good will come from it. And in the movies, it never works out. In real life, it's how
also
you do.
Never works out.
No, it doesn't work out for some people. It's the people you don't know about. It's when you're driving by houses that cost like $1 million+ and there's like 400 of them in a row. It's like not everyone living there just studied hard. No.
So yeah, they agreed to meet up in New Jersey. His phone is tapped by the feds here, which I think yeah, I think that's what happened in the presidential scene. They said they were going to do that. Um, we got to Mitch and Samantha are in a hotel. Samantha is writing uh, Charlene Elizabeth Baltimore down on a notepad because that's what Walden said her name was. We
It's a neat
also
thought exercise too. People is sit down at home and think up a fake name for yourself, and then practice writing it out in cursive. It's actually very difficult to make it seem natural. Try
uh,
it. Something
yeah,
to do.
and I guess this might be extra weird to people now. I guess that's a hidden talent now is reading cursive because they just don't
Yes.
teach it in school anymore.
No. No, my son cannot. Things have been written in cursive. Dad, could you read this to me? And it's like, oh, I have a secret battle language that only I can interpret now. I can't write in cursive. I can read it.
Yeah, I remember I was listening to a podcast and guy they're contemplating. He's like, "Hey, does anybody write in cursive anymore?" It's like, "Yeah, it's how I take notes because I can write in cursive faster than I can in print." And I was like, "I guess that's true,"
Oh, yeah.
because it's all one continuous thing. So, but
You want to do something really cool? Learn shorthand.
oh, okay,
It's like learning another English language.
or whatever they do. What's the stenographer
Yeah,
typing thing? That's
yeah, it's
crazy.
shorthand. Just you can type as fast as people talk,
Yeah.
which is something very few people can do. And if you have that skill, you can always get a job. Actually, type on like a QWERTY keyboard as fast as like you and I are talking. Very few human beings can do
Yeah,
that.
they have like a different keyboard, don't they? It's
Yeah, they're using. It's basically they're using like what's that called? Damn it, like visual shorthand, or it makes the symbols of shorthand,
okay.
and you're just like kind of going into almost a fugue state and just whatever they're doing. It's kind of like the
So you
men
know how
pass roll back
yeah,
into their
yeah,
start typing. I don't know.
yeah. Oh yeah, cursive. So,
Yeah.
yeah, people can't read cursive anymore. Um,
They're bringing it back in the schools now.
yeah.
They realize that actually handicaps people not being able. We need because you just take because when I
Oh
take notes, it's in block letters and it's very
yeah, yeah.
slow.
Well, yeah, because I started writing screenplays and stuff like that, so I just did that in print, and I kind of got, and I got extra to like save space because I was like filling up notebooks. I'd use a .3 millimeter pencil, and I'd have like every line was 2 lines.
Yeah.
So that's how like it. So it looked like the mad writings from Seven and those notebooks that someone had to
Yes.
reproduce. So
We got 20 guys reading in shifts. It'll still take a year to get through it. You want to do something wild? If you ever think you're interested in learning the Russian language, and which I used to be, and learning like the Cyrillic alphabet, it's like, okay, some of this is making sense. And then you introduce to Cyrillic cursive, and you're like, oh God, no. It's like, no, this doesn't make any sense.
yeah, I always the thing always throws me for a loop with cursive, and like the only time I ever used cursive was to like write a check out because like as far as I knew when I was growing up, where you had to like learn that it's like you had to write out the the amount in cursive, which I guess doesn't matter anymore. No one ever uses it, but because I don't know if it like does cursive validate it or invalidate. You know, print invalidated. But anyways, anytime you had to like write a fucking Z, that always threw me for a loop. It's like, how do you make a capital Z? It's like a T, but it doesn't cross through the body.
Yeah.
So I can never remember that. So, um, so yeah, she goes through her suitcase. Was like yeah, Mitch is on. This is where we introduced to Mitch's. I can't remember what the song is. Like the na 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 na, and he like hums things to himself to remind like where he put his keys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which lasts for about like I don't know half an hour in the movie and then disappears. But I guess it's fun for the moment. So just for something for the character to do, a little more characterization, I suppose. Um, yeah, she gets annoyed by something he does, and then she closes the door because they have like two separate rooms that have that middle door that opens between. Although this doesn't look like a Holiday Inn or anything like this. This looks like some like Victorian era like hotel or something like that. Um, So yeah, she goes to her suitcase and then just now finds a hidden compartment with pieces of a sniper rifle in it, which she gasps at, and then she just starts putting the rifle together and loads around. Um, is this the rifle that has like a bunch of like? It looks like a heat shield, but it's just a holes in the barrel or something like that. Is this or is that a different rifle? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, this one, this does not have a heat shield.
Okay.
This is basically a Remington 700 bolt
Okay.
action that's made. This is actually, you can buy one like this. It's made by H&S Precision. It's
Okay.
called Takedown Sniper Rifle,
Huh.
um, and it's about $6,000.
Okay.
H&S Precision was known. They were the guy who founded the company. He's long since been dead, but he was the first person to make a synthetic stock
Huh. Okay.
for rifles, which are better than wood for super accurate rifles because synthetic polymer doesn't expand and contract with moisture like
Yeah.
wood does. So, yeah, that's actually a real rifle. Don't know how accurate it is, but I don't imagine anything where you twist the scope off and it's going to be like, yeah, it's immediately bore. Maybe they're using some mechanism that
Yeah.
would make it work.
I mean, it's got like this counterweight on it. It's got the cheek riser and all this stuff on it. So it's got stuff to help with, your shooting. So.
And you can get one today for $6,000.
And then she pulls out a knife, and then she she looks in the mirror, and then we kind of cut away and cut back, and like a mirror version of herself slashes at her and like cuts her throat open, and then she like cuts to her waking up, and then she looks over and sees the rifle on the bed, and it's like it wasn't all a dream. So then she grabs a rifle in a hurry, and then like Mitch, because she made like screamed, and when she woke up, and then Mitch opens the door like after hearing a commotion, and then she fires the rifle near him. Then we cut to Mitch is very angry. It's like they're gathering everything up. It's like, yeah, we're heading back home. I'm not dealing with this shit. I'm not getting fired at by like the head of the PTA or whatever. So as they're driving back, here we get Mitch mentions about being in prison. Now he's not going back. Well, that's actually before they're driving back. Then they're driving, and then he explains about how he used to be a cop in Atlanta, and he and his partner they recovered bonds. I forget here. But then he talks about how like they found the bonds in his closet, and then like she's like, "Oh, your partner put them there." He's like, "Oh no, I stole them," which is a very funny Mr. X.
Yeah, I went to prison and I should have because I broke the law. Set up by other people. It's like I did it.
So that's why he's a private eye, I guess. Or man, can you be a criminal and get a private eye detective license or whatever? Or is this or is he kind of like off the cuff, like he's not official, like private eye or whatever?
Well, no, because they could access credit records through
right.
database searches back.
Or maybe Trin actually has the license, and then he's just working off of it. So
I know you can't carry handguns and stuff if you're a felon.
Yeah.
So I doubt that. Like, yeah.
But yeah, there's crazy stuff like that. Like because like working in the trades, you think like, oh man, like I gotta like spend all this time to get like an apprentice license and work way up to a master's, so, like and be all this stuff, and then there's like, wait, that guy is not an apprentice. How is he working under a license? Like, oh, his dad has a license. Like, how does that work? Does this get canceled out when he dies? This is in perpetuity. How the hell does this work? That's very shady.
You're basically operating. Yeah, there's a lot of people that come around and do plumbing and stuff for you.
Yeah.
It's like, are you a licensed plumber? Nope. I had it. It's like, oh, okay. But around here, that's like a union thing.
Okay.
Because you have to go. I don't understand exactly how it works.
Yeah.
To be under your own license, you have to be like a union plumber. You have to go through a program and get certified.
Yeah.
And I think that takes a long time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
A lot of people are just like, I want to get to work now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because I was trying to do that, and it's like, oh man, this is gonna take like 6 years just to be an apprentice. Like, man, that kind of sucks. And that's why I have my job now, because there's nothing. You don't need that stuff. You need a lot of skills, but none of them need to be licensed. So.
Yeah, you gotta have a college degree, which in some cases is like sometimes it's easier to get a college degree than like to be a licensed tradesman.
Yeah.
But I don't know anyone who has as a journeyman's tradesman that is poor either. So it's
Yeah.
like it pays off.
Yeah.
I know guys that make great money doing that. I know guys that make great money and work 23 weeks a year. The rest of the time they're just between jobs and they're fine. It's like really cool. But when they do work, they got to like crawl around and run conduit and
Yeah.
stuff. And all things that if I did for an hour, I'd do like, I need to go to the hospital. So, yeah.
um uh So Mitch, they're about to go to an exit, then he doesn't take the exit. So here, Mitch decides he's going to go forward and help Samantha out here. So I guess thinking back on his life, he's like, well, might as well make another poor decision. So, then we go to it's like a train station or something they go to. I can't remember. It's kind of weird. Um, Samantha goes to the bar, and then Timothy comes up and buys her a drink, and she doesn't recognize him in a hall. And then he has like a lot. He has something where like he can tell when people are lying. So when he looks at her, he can tell that she's not lying. It's like, oh, she doesn't know who I am. And so he like leaves the bar and then like whispers into his cuff, or like, all right, take him out. Which is like, why didn't he just take him out? It's like, oh, it doesn't matter. So like a bunch of people come up to. Well, we have one guy like he has like glasses and he has like a silenced pistol and a piece of paper, and she's thinking it's Walden, and then
Yeah.
and then when she sees the gun, uh, like uh, like Mitch has the gun in his pocket, and she just like reaches into his pocket and like is pushing him aside, and they're diving, and she keeps the gun in his pocket and fires it through the coat to kill that guy, and then people just start coming out of the woodwork with like machine guns and rifles and all that stuff. Mitch grabs the Uzi that this guy had. Yeah, he had an Uzi, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, he had like a science pistol, but he also had an Uzi on him or something like that.
Right. Yeah. He had like a Beretta with a big silencer on it, which is like a weird choice. It's like, we're just going to execute these people in public.
Yeah.
Just blow them away. But it was scary. Those are scary.
uh yeah, then they run upstairs, and then a grenade drops near them, and they have like 8 seconds to run away. And the grenade has no shrapnel to it whatsoever. It just creates a wall of fire that chases after them slowly. So and so they run down the hallway. She shoots the window open, and they jump through the window. And then as they're falling, she uses the Uzi to like shoot a circle in the ice down below, which is a pretty cool scene. So
yeah,
and also
that was a '90s thing, because didn't Oliver Gruner do that in one of those movies we watched where they were all cyborgs?
yeah, Nemesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw that was an Albert Pune movie. So yeah, they did that in Nemesis, and then they did that later on in Underworld. So
Okay. Yeah.
so
Trope, just blast holes in the. Just don't shoot your feet.
yeah, they're falling flat. So she just like so, they fall through the ice, and then like broke their fall, and then like um then they get out of then they get out of the water, and people are shooting at them, and then Dr. Walden shows up, runs a guy over, and they picks up Samantha and Mitch. And then like Mitch is like, man, we just jumped out of a building, and then and then Walden replies with, yes, very exciting, and tomorrow we go to the zoo.
Yeah.
Just perfect stupid dialogue that's very funny. So, a character that lives and knows it's living inside of a movie, essentially. So,
He's driving one of my favorite old cars from the '80s, the '86 Lincoln Town Car.
Okay.
Those were cool old boats from the '80s.
What made it? What was cool about them?
They had a lot of creature features that were way ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Like stuff that we take for granted now, like heated seats and things like that, and really powerful air conditioners. I remember
Okay.
those were known to like cool off really fast.
Oh, okay.
They did have airbag suspensions, which when they broke, they were really expensive to fix, but they were. I think he had an extra fancy one too, because it seemed to have all the stuff in it.
Okay.
But yeah, they had like trip odometers and stuff like that. They had one of the first ones that had keyless entry, and we're talking like mid '80s, so that was whoa, people were still using keys to get in their car, and it had features like that.
Yeah, even though this movie takes place in like the late '90s, like most of the cars are like from the '80s and '70s in this
Yeah,
movie. So
yeah, because you can destroy them and nobody cares.
yeah, yeah. Walden talks about how she's like fallen into her cover story. So Samantha was her cover story, and so that she's like an assassin for the CIA. And Mitch laughs at this, and then she says something like, "But I'm in the PTA," and then Walden has some comeback for that or whatever. So Walden always has a comeback, and it's always outrageous and funny. So then we cut to like they've stopped over somewhere. That's at some point they picked up Mitch's car, and then Walden is giving Samantha like her history of being an assassin. Then Mitch is suspicious of Walden, and they scuffle. They scuffle with each other and leave. Like he even says, like, no, they tapped your phone, which was true, but then he wasn't betraying them. So, but yeah,
Yeah, and by the way, Hennessy's driving a '79 Mercury Cougar convertible.
yeah, which he says the heat doesn't work, but it makes an annoying sound. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's what everyone always likes, a convertible in winter times.
Yeah. Convertibles in Pennsylvania, good idea. Great climate there. Or wait, no, maybe he was driving a Ford LTD. Yeah, he was driving an LTD. Okay, never mind.
Here we get some line as they're driving away where she says, "We need some answers or we're going to die." They go to a farm to find Luke, and Samantha thinks that she was engaged to him, so she goes to talk to Luke, and then Mitch kind of stands watch, and he gets held up by Walden, and like he holds up like a notepad where it says like this is where he found out where they're going, and he says something like it says something like under like with a dick underneath it, and he says like that's a duck, not a dick, and he looks at it it's like it's just like
Said it again, and he just throws it on the ground.
And it's also you can interpret it either way, but it's like why is this in this movie and it stands out? So who cares? It's fun, whatever. um, Walden says that Luke was not was a target and not a lover, and so they go to warn her that Luke is dataless,
Yes.
which I don't know isn't really important, but it just sounds mysterious.
Cool name.
He's like a part of the chapter or something like that, or head of it or something, whatever. Timothy shows up in a helicopter, and Luke knocks her out. Um, Samantha wakes up tied to this water wheel. It's like some torture device where they just like put her underwater. And I'm guessing also was served as like I don't like a this is like a, what do you call it, as a mill or whatever where it just turns the
It's
mill.
like a water wheel
Yeah.
you'd turn like a millstone or a saw or something. But this is a geared thing with a gear lock on it. That's important.
So they use it as a torture device. He spins her underwater. We see the body of Walden is down there. It's like, oh man, like, it's a fun character, immediately killed, but it also adds a sense of danger to it. It's like, well, anything can happen.
He also has a gun.
Yeah, yeah. He like hands her a gun. And he talks about how he has like 3 different guns on him, one in a crotch because agents don't like to feel up another man's crotch. So we know there's a gun in his crotch. So.
Now we know nowadays nobody cares. They will put on rubber gloves and practically give you a hand job. So, but yeah, back then it was like, yeah, agents don't really do that. Now, if there's like people are sticking bombs everywhere, so it's they'll just grab your balls. Like, is this an explosive? It's like depends on which circumstance.
Depends on the state. He spins her on. He pulls her back up, and she's like terrified. But then she basically switches over to the Charlie persona and says, "You better watch your back." She gets put under again. We get a flashback of her being captured and waking up to like One-Eyed Jack feeling her up, and then she stabs in an eye with a syringe. They supposed to, again these crazy situations where they could have killed somebody and then just didn't because they're horny.
Yeah. Something you never do. It's like, hey, professional assassin, we have another professional assassin here who's probably better than you. Now she's going to be disabled, so make sure to kill her. And it's like, no, we're going to have. I mean, that's what, like, when they had Paul Atreides and his mom. It's like the Harkonnens are like, these are some of the most dangerous people in the galaxy. Let's have sex with the mom. They can use like a witch voice to make us do anything. It's like, yeah, clearly this is shoot them and throw them out of and you get to live.
Yeah.
and have sex with a sexy bald Harkonnen woman like everywhere.
um, like in this flashback, she gets shot off a cliff as she runs. So this is how she wound up on a shore in Jersey.
She actually takes like he's actually hammering at her with like a 50 caliber Desert Eagle.
Yeah.
It was like it hits her in the head, but it's like a glancing blow.
Yeah.
It erases her memory. She falls into water, which like she would just drown.
Yeah,
You'd be unconscious. But, you know.
Yeah, it's a movie trope to wash up on shore without a memory. So we've accepted it as a reality.
Yeah. Everything in this movie is some kind of action trope.
Yeah.
Like women that can just beat men. Other professionally trained killers can beat men within an inch of their life. It's like, no, not really. It's a cool idea. Now, if it's normal, like fat guys like me, yes, absolutely. But not if it's like, oh, here's another trained assassin and he's a guy and he's totally jacked. It's like, I'm going to kick his ass. It's like, no, you better shoot him. You're better off. It's
Yeah, everyone has a gun until it's plot armor gets in the way. So.
Yeah, and everyone like your arm is this long and you can hold a gun out this far, and it's like, yeah, let's let everyone in my guard while I'm holding this, which is the only advantage of this gun is it gives me range. Let's negate that. Come into the arc where you can kick me in the head or disarm me somehow, or let me tell you about my evil plot. I'm going to kill you. It's like, I want you to be informed before you...
Well, we need to tell the audience thing, and we have to have the most ridiculous situation to have it happen.
Yeah.
She gets pulled up again, and this time she taunts him and has to be put underwater again, so now she's basically fully transformed into the Charlie persona, or who she really is, whatever. It is an interesting idea to have, like, this push and pull of two different characters, and then, like, kind of arrive in the middle somewhere at the end of the movie, so... because it seems like her real self is a complete asshole. So.
She's a psychopath. Yeah. Someone who's just aroused by murder and death. How she has feelings.
So yeah, they put her under again, and she wiggles an arm free, and you can kind of see like it chews up, it's chewed up her arm a bit to because ropes are not fun. Rope burn sucks.
No, but in freezing water, it would like stop the bleeding immediately. And numb you to the pain. Because also, that water's freezing. She would have been well into hypothermia before the guy's first speech. After being, I don't know if you've ever been in frozen water in winter, even accidentally. It's like you don't have long to think before it's like, I better strip these clothes off and jump in the shower. It feels like you jumped into acid because the water's slightly warm. It's like, ah! So, yeah, she would have been completely nuts by the time she was brought up the first time.
But she wiggles an arm free, grabs the gun out of Walden's crotch, and then as she's being pulled back up, she shoots Luke in the leg and chest. And then she asks where Mitch is.
She also shoots the lock on the...
on the locking mechanism. So
so it can't free back down and just kill her. So it shows she's like thinking clearly, even in the scariest situation. Drown. It's like that's she definitely has ice in her veins.
Does she have a Makarov here, or like a PPK or something?
It's a Walther PPK.
Okay.
A gun that's only effective in movies.
Then we cut to, like, we see Mitch is like tied up naked in a basement or whatever, and he hears gunfire, and then she pops the door open. And then we cut to Samantha takes a shower, cuts and dyes her hair, and then we cut to Mitch wakes up in like this gaudy hotel, just like fish tanks and stuff.
Hotel.
Yeah, it's like a Vegas hotel, but like somewhere in New Jersey. So what's the New Jersey Vegas? Is that the?
Oh yeah, it's what is that? Atlantic City.
Yes, Atlantic City.
Yeah.
He gets dressed up and he lights a cigarette. Samantha walks in and rips a bandage off of Mitch, which she distracts him by showing her boobs, so he will.
Yeah, because she's like, "Look at these," and she pulls her shirt open and he looks down and he grabs this. She grabs this bandage and rips it off.
And then she introduces herself as Charlie, and then she smokes now, which I think he's like, you don't smoke. He's like, I do now. Uh, oh wait, no, she says that to herself. She says, I don't smoke, and it's like in one of her like like psychotic dream sequences or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, she says she's going to contact Chapter and go in for a debriefing. Then we cut to Charlie calls Perkins saying she wants to come in, and we have Timothy's revealed to be working for Perkins. Then they're talking about Operation Honeymoon, and then about now enemies are now friends. So, so like she does, she's been out of this loop for 8 years, so she doesn't know what's going on. Well, she also is anticipating this is a setup, but she still needs to make the gesture. It's like, this might work out for her. Otherwise, she has to do things. So, then we cut to they're outside somewhere. Mitch makes a call, but like it's like a setup by Charlie to like check on Perkins because like they know like he like calls back to his place, but they know they're already like tapping his like business and stuff like that. And so like it's just kind of like cruel to Mitch here. And then Mitch heads back inside. Then
I know.
Sorry.
then Charlie starts feeling up Mitch, and Mitch doesn't allow it, like accusing her of like trying to kill her Samantha identity, who's like a school teacher and a mom. So,
Yeah.
um,
Which like seducing Mitch would cinch that, which is like, oh, that's weird.
yeah, it makes sense. It's good on Mitch because it's like, it's like Gene Davis is a beautiful woman. So, and Mitch is like seems to be not having things going his way these days. So, but he's like, no, I like that Samantha chick, like, and he's like, a skeezy private eye detective.
Right.
So here he's like more moral. It's like, no, like this Samantha person. So yeah, I'm just gonna call her Charlie from now on because that's who she is for, the almost the rest of this movie until she becomes some combination of it. So Charlie takes a walk. She gets held up by some headhunters. That's what they call them.
Yeah.
And they go into an alley to. What's that?
Literally, yeah.
They go in an alley to presumably just kill her or whatever, and then Mitch provides backup, which he has like a fun line about like this ain't no ham on rye, and then he goes, "I would have been here sooner, but I was thinking up the ham on rye lines," which is just super like, recursive, breaking the fourth wall, like. Because this movie is already kind of self-aware of itself, and like I don't think that does its self-justice, but let's make the movies fun, so whatever. Then more guys show up, and then Charlie just kills them all. Like I don't even think Mitch even shoots anybody here. So, and then they're driving away, and then Mitch just gets pushed. He says something like, "It seems you're saying that like you don't even need me anymore," and she's like, "That's a good idea." And then she just kicks him out of the car, and he just lays on the ground comically and just lights up a cigarette, doesn't leave the ground, and then Charlie like pulls back around, and then he just like gets up and like it makes it like a grunt. He didn't just fall out of a car, so he gets back in the car and says, "I guess you found a need for me, huh?" And she's like, "Yeah." So she says she needs a fake passport and money, which I guess is in the case. It's in like some, lockbox in Buffalo somewhere.
Okay.
But she needs the key, so they got to go back to Philadelphia to her home to get the key. Mitch drops her off like near her home, and she goes to break into her own house. And here we got, because earlier there was like when they had the party, we showed off the student. So she catches a student of hers smoking, and so she bums the smoke off the kid, which he's like 11 or something like that. And then like he's like weirded out about it because she's carrying a gun here. Is this the gun with the weird heat shield thing or whatever? It's got like It's got like the silver compensator thing on it and like holes in it, but like all the way through, it's not just the heat shield. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of which one that is. What scene is that from? They have a lot of weird guns in this movie. It's like, okay, hero guns. What do we have? No, that's a Mini 14.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, it's a Mini 14 with a. It's got a black synthetic stock and It's just called an aftermarket stainless flash hider
Okay.
in heat shield. So yeah,
Oh, so
it's
that is just a heat shield because like it looks like the holes go all the way through it. So I didn't know if that was like just the barrel small, or if that's just a heat shield, or what's going on there. But
yeah, it's a heat shield. I'm trying to do a search on it. Um, which one is it? Yeah, it does. It just says aftermarket heat shield,
okay,
but it doesn't
I
list
didn't know
like
if it had a purpose. It was just a movie thing. So I
just
was
what
just,
it looks like.
okay,
It's been in a lot of movies. It's that gun first appeared in Beverly Hills Cop,
okay.
so it's been in a lot of movies.
um, and then like yeah, so she bums the smoke off this kid, and then she says like, if you tell anybody, I'll blow your fucking head off. Which then the kid pees himself. So it's a funny scene. So yeah, it seems like Shane Black loves to like say awful things to children in this movie.
Yeah,
So. I mean, I guess it's funny. You're not supposed to say that thing, so you say the thing.
well, this was the kid earlier that was trying to steal cigarettes.
Oh yeah, yeah, because I think it was the drunk guy. He had like a pocket of cigarettes and he was trying to steal one. Yeah,
So yeah, so this is like kind of the Uno reverse. It's like, yeah, I'll take one of them cigarettes, but I'll still blow your head off.
so.
And so it's like, yeah, I'm still the same person, just different things are going on right now.
Charlie goes to Caitlin's room and gets the key. She looks through the sniper scope at a Christmas play where she sees Caitlin and Hal, and then so she has kind of regret, but then just leaves anyway. Then Mitch honks, and so as bad guys show up, and so they chase after Mitch, and then Charlie grabs some skates, and then she starts skating across this lake or whatever to cut across to able to intercept the car that's going after Mick, and so she fires at the bad guy and she kills them all as their car just like lands on the pond and just kind of like skates to a stop. So kind of fun, setup, but pointless otherwise. But yeah, whatever. It's a Rennie Harlan movie. So.
Yeah.
Then we see Caitlin gets kidnapped by Timothy, which he puts like some like gas mask on her, and it's like some lady sees her, and then like what does he pull out a knife and says something like, if you want to see your kid ever again, then like shut your mouth or something like that.
It has one of those weird funky knives.
Yeah.
Like only bad people. It's like it's a knife and a sheath, or it's like a knife and a knuckle guard all in. Life would be very unwieldy.
But looks dangerous. That's
Yeah, it does look. It looks like a Klingon knife from like the movies.
Mitch and Charlie are driving. She gets a call from Timothy. So he wants her to go to some place to take a call, and so they try to get one over on him. So they're going to run a trace on Timothy, and so they go to a phone company to like spoof a call where they're supposed to go, and then they run a trace on him. Which here they just hold up a phone company or whatever, and somehow walk out of there, and nobody says anything. So they trace it to Niagara Falls. And then Charlie remembers the name Operation Honeymoon, but the Operation Honeymoon really isn't explained, I guess, until the very end. So it could be, at this moment, it could be anything.
Yeah, it's a lot of build up on that too, and that's something that does not pay off once you find out what it is. It's like, well, duh. Yeah.
Well, once you find out what it is weird. It's like, oh, this is where this came from. So,
this is why these people are all like so freaked out, because they're doing a really dumb thing that they could easily get caught doing,
yeah.
and they're also like laying the groundwork for every 9/11 conspiracy. Like, okay.
But yeah, I did not remember this movie taking place at Niagara Falls. So, but they go to Niagara Falls. Mitch and Charlie scout out this like mansion or hotel or whatever the hell this is. They see Perkins and Timothy are together, and so she's less hopeful. It's like, if it's just Timothy, we had a chance. But like now, this is like, because now she's like, yeah. At some point, she says like, Timothy used to be on the hit list, which I don't know what that means. But now they're working with him because he's cheaper. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, not sure why. How did he get his way off the hit list?
Did he work for the Russians? Like, what's going on? Is he just a freelance terrorizer?
Well, I think he's like so evil that they're like, oh, we must kill him. It's like, no, his evil has seduced us. Now he's on the side.
Yeah.
Just like he impregnated Charlie. He has that power.
Perkin gives a doll to a sleeping Caitlin to try to like say like, see, I'm not a monster.
I
Uh,
only work with monsters.
yeah. I totally expected Perkins to be dead by the end of this movie, and he's still alive. So I
Yeah,
guess,
it's weird because you think it's like this guy's gonna die.
yeah.
For he's like, I'm not to blame. I just following orders. It's like that worked for the guys at Nuremberg, right? Oh, damn it, I forgot.
We cut to its night. Mitch and Charlie prepare to break in. Mitch is just supposed to stand by and give covering fire when she leaves.
Yeah,
Um,
I do like that Mitch never really becomes a effective combatant in this
no,
movie,
no.
which is kind of like
He's
that's a
a
touch of realism.
yeah. He's incidentally successful. His like bravery and stupidity allows him to sometimes gain the upper hand, but most
Yeah,
of the time,
sometimes doing the wrong thing will fool the experts
yeah.
every time because you just end up dead. But yeah, sometimes.
But he has to be saved by Charlie pretty much all the time. He even says that like I'll be waiting for you to save me again, and it happens again. So
But yeah, but if you say mother, you know what, then it's like, oh, that's like your power word. Like you can throw like one of those sonic punches like in the fighting games or something.
but yeah, I mean like everybody receives him as not a threat that they don't like try to kill him like all
Yeah,
the time. So
which is kind of silly because like he's a man, he can fire a gun. Like he's a threat.
yeah.
Just because he's not running around acting like a badass doesn't mean like, yeah, he can still shoot you.
But he also doesn't know anything whatsoever, so he's
No,
not as used to them. So.
he has like cop skills.
um. So yeah, Charlie kills a guy just after he checks in, which this whole thing is weird because it ends up being a setup. It's like so those guys were just left to their deaths as the setup or whatever. But whatever. And she
Yeah,
finds
life is cheap in the world of Long Kiss Goodnight.
um.
Men burn in cars and no one talks about it. He was a drunk and a handsy guy. Let him burn. Yeah. Okay.
She finds a guy. She finds Caitlin, and she can just see her through like a window of this hotel thing or whatever. And she knocks at the door and holds the gun up to the silence pistol up to the eye hole. And so when he looks in, she shoots him.
Which is a cool idea,
Yeah.
actually. It's one of those things. He's like, why doesn't everyone do that?
I think I think we've seen it before. Another thing before, like it's done a lot, but it's also like it makes sense. It's like here's a thing where somebody their head is going to be here, so shoot it.
Well, I always respected the concept of shooting through walls, shooting through doors. It's like knock, knock, knock. Oh, there's killers at the door. Boom, boom, boom. The vicinity of the door. It's like
Yeah.
we're bound to wound them at least, Or there's a killer walking down the hall where you can clearly see the drywall. It's like, yeah, there's no stopping me now. It's I'm gonna get 10 shots on this guy before he comes around the corner.
Yeah, I think that was
Nobody gets on their knees in a movie either and does that. I always like standing up. It's like, no, get down on a kneel and do that because you're going to get shot. They're going to shoot back at you.
yeah,
Everyone's always standing. It's like, don't do that.
I think that was a fun thing, and like I think it might have been in the first episode of Burn Notice. And I think one of the lines is like, "Smart people use duct tape."
Yeah.
And so there's like this drug dealer. He has to deal with him, and the drug dealer has like this reinforced door, and it's like, oh yeah, you can't shoot through the door. So he duct tapes a box like on the wooded thing next to the door, because the guy's going to be standing at the door, and he shoots him through the box, the duct tape box he sets up, and hits the guy in the leg. So then he debilitates him from it. It's like, oh yeah.
You can operate in all 360 degrees in the real world. It's like bullets fly through walls like they're not even there.
Cars too. Not movies, but
Yeah.
A refrigerator and a car will stop a bullet immediately in a movie.
Yeah, real life cars are terrible cover. Like, get behind the engine block and the tire. It's like, no, the tire's gonna explode off the rim and land on you once the car drops, and the engine block will just reflect bullets off of it. So.
Yeah, I remember like we had like training for like active shooter drills, and like there's something where you had to like basically like duck walk around because like there was somebody did some study and like I've only heard it in this one time, but they were like laying down on the ground, you're still like a high chance of getting hit, but somehow ducking around is less likely to get hit.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain it. I'd still just get all the way on the ground. So,
Yeah, I've had it explained to me like moving is living. It's
yeah,
like never stay still in a shooting situation. Always move.
yeah,
Don't move towards danger, but always be moving.
yeah,
Because it's like if you sit in a static position, you're bound to catch a bullet versus moving or because if you're sitting in one place, it's just the percentages counting down towards you. But if you're always changing position, it's like the percentage stays at the same level
yeah,
because people are just and it's happening so fast too. It's crazy. It's just people are just firing in all directions. So the chance you're taking by moving versus standing still, it's not negligible, but it's not like a huge advantage. It's like, well, I was doing jumping jacks the whole time, he never hit me. It's like, no, 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 that's not how it works.
um,
It's usually so fast. It's like, yeah, it's over. Damn.
so yeah, she kills the guy behind the door. She grabs Caitlin and she's running out of there. And then we cut to Mitch getting held up by Timothy, and so it's a trap. And so all these lights come up, and people come out of nowhere again. And so like those two guys were just sacrificed for no reason, or they knew what was going on the whole time. Who knows?
Ready to die for this.
Yeah. Um,
My life for you.
I mean, if they're gonna kill her, they know they gotta die at some point too. So.
Yeah.
So she's like running away. She ends up falling into a basement and just like shooting all around her. And then like we get some lights down there and see it's a bunch of kerosene, like as it starts spilling over the place. So like the bullets didn't spark anything and blow it up. So, but it's it's laying the case for it to be blown up later. So
Yeah, it's clearly identifying it as kerosene.
yeah,
So you understand that it's like, oh yeah, this has low VOC, but it will burn bright once you get it going. Once you get enough of it on the ground, it'll pick up.
um, and also yeah, this is a change for the character because before she was like fuck that kid, and so now she's like risking her life to save her. Um, I think even like when she goes in there, she says something to Mitch like, "This is the last time I'll be pretty" or something like that. I can't remember what
It was something like that. I was like, oh, what does that mean?
the. So that being the act two, we got act three. Charlie is tied up in a freezer. Perkins talks about budget cuts and how Timothy was on the hit list until like they had budget cuts and they had to hire them and work with them. Then Perkins talks about the World Trade Center bombing being like insinuating it's a CIA operation to increase the budget. And so now they're going to release a chemical bomb in Niagara Falls and blame it on a Muslim. So they just have a dead Muslim guy in the freezer here to be the fall guy for it. And so that's what Operation Honeymoon apparently is to increase their budget.
Yep.
So it's like, oh, this is where this came from. Because I remember this being, well, I guess it's more creepy because of it's even more specific in that Lone Gunman episode where it's like, we're going to hit the World Trade Center with a plane to increase the budget, and it gets also so specific that it's like, oh, that's creepy. But here it's like, it's against the World Trade Center, but it's still the increase the budget thing and blame it on Muslim stuff. So
Yeah.
um, so this is 5 years before that, and
Oh, I remember reading a book in the mid '90s where they were talking about counterterrorism domestically, like it was the FBI guy writing a book or something. It was nonfiction. It was about actual stuff they do. And he said he pointed out the window because the FBI was in World Trade Center 7, and that was their New York headquarters. And they're like, yeah, as long as those buildings are standing, we're doing our job. And it was like so prescient, like, God, wow, that's weird. it's like, yeah, not now, but okay. It's like you think of that as almost a throwaway line, and then in light of what happened, it's like, oh wait a minute, it's crazy.
So they do say it's a chemical bomb, but then that's not the case. So that was just going to be a part of the thing to say it was, but it wasn't actually.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It just is like going to be destructive, but then they were going to have like a chemical warfare component to it, but like it didn't work out or something because.
Well, I don't know if that was a part of the fear or whatever. We'll say it's a chemical, and then no one's going to check us on it, but we'll clear the area or something like that. So
Yeah.
but I thought they said it was supposed to be a chemical bomb, right? I didn't misconstrue that.
No, yeah, that's what I understood it to
Okay,
be.
all so Timothy's just gonna freeze Charlie and Caitlin to death for reasons and blame it on like and then I guess throw their bodies out in the winter and blame it on like hiking gone wrong or something like
Yeah, they went hiking for an unknown compelling reason. Yeah.
that. um, then Charlie says Caitlin is his kid and says the look in her eyes. So you don't know if this is a ruse or if this is true. He does, and then he seems to be like slightly shocked by it, but then moves on. It's like, well, he says like, "Get my fucking kid over here," so something like that. So he says more horrible things around the child. So that's just Shane Black doing his what he wants. But then as he like is about to close the door, she says to him, "You're going to die screaming. I'm going to watch." Um, which doesn't really work out. I figure he should have had like a way more gruesome death to have this this line really pay off. But
Yeah, it's like it's going to be dissolved in acid or something. You're watching here.
um, he closes the door and turns down the temp on the freezer. Then this place is going to blow up. Well, actually, this place isn't going to blow up, so I don't know why everybody abandons it and lets her go to her will. But see, she grabs a meat hook and starts digging at the bottom of the freezer door, and she kind of creates a little channel underneath the door. Then we cut to Timothy sets up the chemical tanker bomb thing, or whatever. He just puts a bomb with a neat display on it and puts it on a fuel tanker. We come back to Charlie does some stuff with Caitlin's retainer, and then she so the doll that Perkins gave her, I think it's like a Wetsy Betsy or whatever that was called, or
Something like that, yeah.
but so like before they captured her, she filled up the doll with kerosene. So apparently the smell didn't give it away. But I guess this is adjacent to the kerosene room, so basically everything smells like kerosene right now.
It just probably smelled like everything else, yeah.
So she uses it to like squeezes out the kerosene out of the baby doll, and then like has it go through the channel underneath and go out to the other side to the the bolt hold ridden kerosene. And then she tries to make a spark with the hook, but it doesn't work. And then Caitlin ends up having some matches in her cast about like something about lighting a candle for her mom, which I can't remember if they've set that up before, or if it's just something happens now. I can't remember. Um,
No, yeah, they did set that up before because it was like think about me or something.
okay.
Remember, she said that when she
Oh,
first left.
before she left. Okay, right. Okay. Charlie hugs her and says she loves her. So now we have, that kind of now we have like kind of a merging of the characters. Um, so she takes the match and then she lights the pool of kerosene on fire, and then the fire radiates out to the barrels of kerosene and then blows up the house. And there's also we have like Mitch is tied to a chair, and Timothy taking his good long while to revel in about to kill Mitch, and is about to shoot him when the whole place blows up, and then uh, Mitch is magically transported out of the room by the explosion and not harmed by it whatsoever. And then he flies through like the sign of the hotel,
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
and then I think he hits a tree and that breaks the. Well, also yeah, when Timothy before he walks in, he just throws a knife at Mitch's crotch when she opens his legs up and it like narrowly misses his crotch. So there's now a knife in his chair. The chair breaks open, so he's able to get free. And a guy goes running up to him to like I guess try to kill him, and he throws the knife and just like magically hits him in like the throat or something like that. So we get like this is one time where Mitch gets to be cool. It's like because it's like he just did it. I got an instinct. He had no idea that was going to pay off, which I
It
always had.
wasn't like chefs can do that. Just non sequitur. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a because like in movies like this, the knife always like hits its target. Where it's like when you try that in real life, like it just bangs off like the handle most of the time. Like there's probably really an art to that. Like I mean, sometimes you do it, but you never know. It's like, am I doing this intentionally when you do knife throwing stuff?
Yeah.
And there's probably a way to do it, but like you're doing it where
Well,
it
they have
spins.
weighted knives you can buy,
Yeah.
and then you practice the technique, and then you're like, yeah, you can do it, but you can only at 10 feet. If you're just a normal human being who's learning this on your own, you can hit like a basketball size ring consistently, but you can't just be like flicking it sideways and go through someone's eye at 50 yards. that only happens in movies.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I had a fun scene I wrote one time based around that whole concept where these two guys are like knocked out and tied across a room from each other, and they wake up and there's just like um, one guy has a knife and he throws it at the other guy and it hits him in the head, but it hits him in the handle. And he's like, ow, you hit me in the fucking head with the handle. And he grabs a knife and throws it at the other guy. And then they just start, and then they stop, like, they're hitting each other with a handle the first couple times. And they start, like, hitting each other in the chest. The knife goes in. They pull the knife out and just throwing the knife back and forth at each other until they basically bleed themselves unconscious. So I thought that would be a really fun scene in a movie. So.
Yeah, the best scary knife throwing guy is like in Desperado.
Yeah.
Like that guy seems super effective. I mean, it's purely a movie, but
Yeah.
it's, yeah, don't mess with that knife guy. Or if you see him, like, we get a machine gun because he's like a knife guy. like when he was like through the what's that actor's name? He has the
Danny
taco.
Trejo.
Yeah, Danny Trejo. Like he's through the moon roof, just throwing knives. It's like that's really cool. But I think somebody like gets an AK-47. It's like, well, that's over.
Yeah, he gets. I mean, yeah, he shows off his abilities and he's killed like pretty quickly.
Yeah,
just because a guy grabs a gun and shoots him. So.
Yeah, that's why guns work.
But that's also like kind of consistent with that movie because even like the other Desperados show up and they have like machine guns and grenade launcher or like rocket
launchers. Yeah, they have
and
a long rocket.
And what's implied is like they have a long history of doing this and they've survived forever and then they're dead in like 5 minutes. So it's like yeah, it's consistent with the movie. So
yeah.
So.
Everyone has their moment.
Yeah.
The sad player walks on stage, says his lines, and dies. There's something in Shakespeare like that. It's like, a tale told by a fool, signifying.
Yeah, I forget. I think the machine gun guy just kind of like is unceremoniously just dies in a hail of bullets, and then it's worse as the rocket launcher guy gets knocked over and fires a rocket launcher straight up in the air, and then it blows himself up, which is like, oh man, that's ironic.
Yeah, that's ignominious. Breaking poses as he would shoot the rocket.
Yeah,
crazy boots with knees at weird angles, shooting a rocket very artfully. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, I mean there he's doing it for flair, but there was weird shooting positions in the Marine Corps like that, because there's there was 3 different positions you shot from 100 yards. So there's standing, there's kneeling, and there's sitting. So that's at 100 yards. So you don't do any when you're laying down prone. That's only at the 300 and the 500. That's where you're doing prone. You still have to do sitting at the 300, and then 500 is only prone. So kneeling, it's like, all right, I'm just going to take a knee. But like another way you could shoot that was technically taking a knee is like you sit on your foot and your knee is splayed out to the left. And so it's like your knee is touching the ground, and it was considered a kneeling position. But it was very fucking uncomfortable to sit on your own foot like that and shoot. But it was the best way to shoot from the kneeling position.
Okay. Isolated everything because you're using your own weight to stabilize your body. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, because the more you can kind of like, it's all about stabilization. Because like when you're shooting standing, it's like there's ways you can do it, but like, you start to do this figure 8 thing. So there's the same thing where you're shooting from the kneeling position. It's like less of a figure 8, but still a figure 8. And so when you get that weird sit on your foot position, then you're kind of like more of in a sitting position rather than the kneeling position. And so you take advantage of that position. And then you're basically at that point, there's no figure 8. It's kind of just up and down.
Okay.
And then a sitting position, like that's that's where you can be surprisingly inaccurate with that. Like you get locked in, and then the only thing you have to worry about is your natural point of aim. And so I'll just get your natural point of aim lined up and then shoot when you're not breathing. And so make sure that when your natural point of aim lands on the target when you're not breathing. So and that's when you pull the trigger. And so it's the magic of of precision shooting. So yeah. So I tried it once and I was like, nah.
Yeah. Let other experts try this.
Yeah, I remember I accidentally found out there's some way where I was taught to shoot in the standing position where you kind of do this overhead C clamp grip on like the ring near like the castle nut or whatever on the rifle, you know, where it connects to the body of the receiver.
Okay.
Um, I forget what it is. Like it's kind of where the heat shield is, and when it connects to that body, there's like this little ring that kind of like it kind of moves just a little bit. So you grab it on it this way, and then you kind of like you're standing to the side, and you like you pull the rifle up to you. So you like you let your hands rest down, and then you pull the rifle up to you. And I forgot how to do it, all that, and like have the butt of the stock in my shoulder. And so I just remember like, oh, well, you do it when you pull it up to the side. And so I basically just was hugging the rifle into my chest to shoot it, and it was actually like crazy accurate, but there's nothing supporting the back of the rifle, so it just punched me in the face every time I fired. But I have glasses, so I was fine.
That doesn't sound fun.
It's just 5.56. But it like it worked, so I was like, I like, well, it works, so I'm just gonna do it this way. I forgot how to shoot the other way, the actual way. So yeah, he kills the guy with the. Oh yeah, the other funny scene I came up with is like, you know, when you have scenes where like a guy's clearly dead and then he starts laughing and then he's actually alive and it's like the bad guy or whatever at the end of a movie to like, surprise return for the, you know, sequel. It's usually a lot of B movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I have that where like, you know, a guy is shot and killed and then like, you know, the hero leaves the room and then the bad guy starts laughing and then the hero opens the door back up again because he heard the guy laughing. And he's like, what? Uh-oh. And then shoots the guy in the head and kills him. So I thought that'd be a funny end to a movie. So I'm not sure if that's how you end a serious movie or a funny or the comedy. So we cut to Mitch sees Caitlin hide in the chemical taker truck because like they're getting out of there, and so Charlie has to go off and fight all the special forces guys around here. Then Chapter's setting up the dead Muslim guy in a car, and they put it like the car in the back of a truck. So there's two different trucks to set this all up. Mitch moves his way to Caitlin while Charlie provides cover. So she's like talking to him over the ham radio on his because they set up like they have a certain frequency, and then she's got like a night vision like M16 scope thing going on here. And so
Okay.
so she like gives out she's like telling him positions of what to do, and then she's also firing at people at the same time. Um Mitch gets shot a couple of times and then he just kind of falls down, which it seems like, well, he's gonna die because he got like shot in the chest. Uh, then we cut to Charlie like runs in the middle of the road and shoots a driver in a car, and then she grabs it and chases down the tanker because she knows because Mitch told her Caitlin's in there. Uh, then she catches up to the tanker and throws the driver out of it, which I can't remember. Like Timothy gets a call from, I don't know if it's the driver or maybe somebody else, and he says like, she has the tanker, like, I think I'm dying, and he just responds, continue dying, ow. So it's, again, just like,
Yeah, I think it was be the driver. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, because the guy she took the car from, she just shot him in the head, you know, presumably. So you know, you only the hero can get shot in the head and live in these movies. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Charlie drives the truck away from the town because, like, presumably from what we've been told, there's going to be a chemical disaster here. The brakes give out, and she like crashes the truck through a wall. The truck kind of like flips over and careens, and like Timothy's car is there. Then he gets like that car gets T-boned, and then like the truck comes to a stop like at the border between Canada and America at Niagara. Which I've never been there, so I don't know if this is how this is set up. Right?
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
Charlie is again thrown free from the thing, and then so then her and Timothy fight, and they end up like suspended over like the interior of the dam, and then like Timothy just like falls into a spillway, and then somehow he goes down screaming, but then we cut to like later he survives. So it's like then we have some helicopter stuff where like, you know, she shoots at a guy, and then a guy like one of the guys dies, and the second guy has a flare gun and lights himself on fire. Then he gets like hung up in like Christmas lights, and it's like so it's on fire or hung up on Christmas lights in the air, which will come into play later. So this is all ridiculous, but I guess it looks interesting. So Charlie releases Caitlin from the truck because she's like climbed inside that little like toolbox or thing or whatever on the side of the truck.
Yeah.
Which I think that's what that is or whatever or something. Um, Charlie releases Caitlin, tells her to run, and then Charlie just collapses, and then Caitlin runs back and employs her to get up by using the same like language she spoke to her when she like broke her or sprained her wrist at the ice skating. She's like, "Get up, like life is pain," which is like ridiculous, delivered by like a 7-year-old or whatever. So
Yeah, that was like,
um so she gets back up, and then there's a bunch of like program guys. They pull up, like they just have the place surrounded at least by one side, and then they have the truck there with the car in it, with the dead Muslim guy, and then Timothy gets in the helicopter and he starts shooting at her, and then Mitch is in the dead guy's car, and then he drives out of the truck to go for Charlie and Caitlin. Here he's like really roughed up. He just has a mouth, like a chin full of blood, so he looks
yeah,
really bad. So, um, and then Charlie like Rube Goldberg's her way around by like cutting a thing with the uses that as like the on fire guy as a counterweight to throw her up, and then she grabbed an MP5 from him on the way up, and then somehow that gives her a better position to shoot at Timothy, and so then she shoots him, and then he falls screaming on top of the tanker, which he's like I guess still alive, or at least his eyes are wide open. So
yeah, not dead yet.
yeah.
But,
Um. Then Mitch, then they'll get in the car. Mitch drives away as the tanker blows up, and then clearly, just disintegrating and throwing Timothy into pieces. So now he's like clearly dead. But it also seems like everybody else dies because this is a gigantic explosion.
yeah, it basically kills everybody.
Yeah, I think maybe the helicopter gets away because they don't show it crashing, but um, it seems like nobody knew what the timer was because nobody's acting like, "Hey, we need to get out of here." So
Yeah, everyone's like, yeah, the bomb will detonate whenever. Be fine. It's like no one's keeping track.
But like the back of this car gets picked up and pushed along, and somehow the car keeps working. So, but yeah, this is a huge explosion. Um, then we cut to Mitch pulls over, saying he can't drive anymore. So it seems like he's gonna die. And then we just dissolve to we see I'm gonna call her Samantha now. Samantha Kane is driving in a convertible and she's got a case full of money and a passport. And she's talking to the president on her cell phone, and he's asking her if she wants to like come back to work, and then she declines, saying something funny like he's surprised about how much a good teacher can make, and it just has the the case full of money. And then we cut to like it's like an addendum with Mitch being interviewed by Larry King about like the happenstances of what happened in Niagara Falls, and this is like a weird, like I don't know how that. I mean, this gives Mitch like a public platform to be redeemed in his like ex-wife's eyes and his child or something like that, but I don't know why this scene was like this is how this had to happen. Like this seems like a weird conclusion to Mitch.
Well, for my understanding is Mitch was supposed to die.
Okay.
And when they did like the audience like watch the movie preview, that everyone was angry
Oh, okay.
because Mitch was like, yeah, when I couldn't drive anymore, there was a death scene that was
Okay.
filmed, and at least that's how I think it went.
Yeah.
So that's why they did this like scene, because it doesn't involve any of the other actors.
No.
And it's like, oh, let's get Larry King and do a cameo, and we'll have him sit down, and then this will be like a strange addenda to the story because we didn't really want Mitch to die.
Well, and they show Perkins is also like a panel on this show here, which like, is he gonna bury Perkins? Like, what's gonna happen here? And then they don't follow through on that either. And so it's just there to show him that he's alive and that he's like gained some like publicity from this. So
Yeah, we're assuming that that Perkins got away with it because they just blamed all the dead people.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, they were rogue agents.
Yeah, you should see the background of this Timothy guy. He's a psychopath. Like, who would
What?
hire this man? And then we have Samantha. She's like, it's like she's like still like doing her job, I'm guessing, but now she's like living out in a farm somewhere. It looks like a cool farm. It's like surrounded by hills and stuff like that. I don't even know if it's in America. I don't know, but she with
Yeah,
Hal and
essentially,
Kayla.
the way it was described to me is like it's like they just moved out into the country in a more defensible position to
Yeah,
where they couldn't move around it as easy,
yeah,
but they're still doing the same thing because she's with the guy, she's got her daughter, so
and then
and
there's
she's
like,
merged two personalities into like a good mother who can like kill people or
yeah,
something.
yeah, because her hair is kind of brown again, but it's still like a more golden brown. So it's like
Yeah,
the
she's definitely highlighting it for
yeah.
sure.
And then she's sitting there having a happy time, and like Hal's like, I could get used to this, and then she's like eating steak or something like that, and there's like a noisy cricket, and she throws the knife and kills the cricket, and there's kind of like, it's just a weird quirk of mine. So I'm a mother and a killer. What are you gonna do? So,
Yeah.
then we have credits and alt rock music plays over like a helicopter shot of the farm. So, and that's the end of A Long Kiss Goodnight. So a fun, stupid action movie.
Yeah.
So, I yeah, I mean, it was still like a dumb movie, but this time around it wasn't as dumb as how I thought I remembered it. And the dialogue is fun. So
Yeah, it's definitely been retconned over the years as being a better movie than what you remember.
um,
Some people even there's even a small group of people that's like this should be the Christmas movie instead of Die. Oh,
yeah,
that's your mind, but yeah,
this is even like the fifth best Christmas Shane Black movie. So
yeah, it's, it's a lot of what do they call it, hopium. Like I'm
yeah.
gonna take a weird stance and win. It's like no, you're just taking a weird stance.
I mean, there's impressive things in this production. There's fun things about it, and it was mostly panned by the critics and wasn't a very big success. But it's a great cast and fun lines. So
It's better than reindeer games.
yeah. Which also, like, I remember not hating. I remember everyone hated that movie, and I didn't hate it. But so
Yeah. No, it's another like smart dumb movie. It's like, hey,
yeah,
there's some cool ideas here, but man, the dialogue sucks.
yeah.
It's terrifying.
I think it was like Frankenheimer's last movie or something like
Yeah,
that. So.
something like that. I know there was like people attached to it, like this has got to be good. It's like, not necessarily.
I remember that was like about the first time I remembered a scene in the trailer not being in the movie, because there's like this scene where he
Yeah.
like jumps over this cavern and like did all the CGI and all this stuff, and then it's like I'm waiting for it to happen in the movie and it never happens. So.
Nope.
Um, um, but yeah, it's a fun movie. Fun, fun Brian Cox role, fun Samuel L. Jackson role. Kind of even a fun role for Gina Davis, even though it's kind of like her last like leading role. So
Yeah, everyone seemed to have a good time.
yeah. And this is like an Arrow movie, like they did a version of that, which they're kind of like sub Criterion, but
Yeah,
but they do good stuff. I didn't get the movie, but it's in the collection, so Arrow seems to have like a lot of the movies we do shows up there. So
yeah. Check it out.
um, oh yeah, so Resender Pro says containing the supercut of scenes from the imperfect collection of the movies that make up the Verhoeven Effect. So Nathan, what one scene in this movie are we shoving into space?
We're gonna have to do the deer crash
Okay.
because it encapsulates the weirdness of this movie. Strange ideas and the kind of weird logic that's going to operate throughout the rest of this movie.
Yeah.
Going to set it apart from a typical action movie in both a good and a bad way. It's like, this is quirky and dumb, but I kind of like it.
And then you can find us Letterbox username VHE. 1 out of 5 stars. What are we giving The Long Kiss Goodnight?
I'm going to give it 3 stars.
Okay, that seems about right.
I'm going to give it 3 stars because there is a lot of things in it that are fun and their dialogue is interesting and delivered by great actors. but the logic of the movie is kind of weird and it does drag in the middle a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely not like a roller coaster of entertainment, but it is entertaining.
Yeah, like it's like oh, a woman lost her memory and then turns out she's an assassin and that leads to like the CIA needs to plant a terror event to increase its budget. These all things don't all link up together at
No,
all. So
no, none of the stuff like meshes together smoothly. It's like, oh yeah, I can see how this could happen. It's like, no, it's like a bureaucrat on LSD trying to like, how can I get more money? What's the most high risk thing I can do?
um well, you can find us at verhoeveneffect.com. There we have lists of support. You can support us on a monthly site on 99 cents, 49.99. Cancel anytime. You can rate our podcast whatever you want. But the only thing the algorithm listens to is the highest ratings. Remember, you control the algorithm. You control the algorithm, control the AI. Remember, you're in charge. So.
Yeah.
And remember, us being a success means you're winning.
Yeah.
You can find us at Twitter at Verhoeven Effect. You can find us at Blue Sky Social at Verhoeven Effect. You can find us on Facebook at Verhoeven Effect. And you can find us on YouTube at American Greed Factory. You can watch both this and that show live and unedited. So for the Verhoeven Effect podcast, I'm Conlon.
And I'm Nathan.
Goodbye, America.